Ladies and gentlemen, we are live for another edition of NASCAR '06 Total Team Control on the channel this afternoon. With the NASCAR Cup Series racing on Saturday night, last night under the lights at Bristol, it is time for KRC to take a different kind of racing on display this Sunday afternoon, as it is still the NASCAR Cup Series, but again, it is on NASCAR '06 Total Team Control. We have just wrapped up our Do It for Dale series last week, as well as the other championship races for the Truck and the Busch series. Now it's time to do one more season in each series on this game. As promised, a custom schedule season on the horizon. We're going to go through that custom schedule season at the start of the stream before we get into the race today. And of course, not only we are going through the Daytona 500 today, but we will also have the Daytona Duel race right before that. So this is going to be kind of a longer stream. So ready to go. We've got a few hours. We're going to get into this quickly. I had to delay the stream a little bit because I had to restart my laptop because OBS wasn't running very fast on me. So I had to restart the laptop, and as soon as I pulled it back up, OBS was fine. And for whatever reason, it wasn't, I don't know, it was just acting really slow. So got that out of the way. We are here now. Cars One Boy, Billy Carjoy, Wade Selinsky, Asai Z, Bentley Potts, and others, welcome into the stream. As you see, NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, that's what we're going to be racing starting today. Custom schedule season, legend difficulty as usual, full races as usual. There will be 450% races on the season in all three series. Unlimited fuel and tires, so that means there will be pit stops as scheduled. Damage is going to be normal as usual, and then yellow flags obviously will be on. So those are the rules. Now it's time to go through the schedule, which I just had, and now because I restarted my laptop, I have to get my Google Docs page up again, because I do have the schedule on there already, so I can get through this a little easier. Obviously, we know the first race of the season is the Daytona 500. That's what you guys came in here for the stream. Let me wait on this. So, obviously, we have the Daytona Duel race first, but that will come with the Daytona 500 itself. And all the fantasy tracks, by the way, are unlocked for the start of this season. I got them unlocked with like 4 races to go in the Cup Series custom schedule season, or Cup Series Do It for Dale season. So we've got the Daytona 500. After Daytona, we're actually going to be running a Daytona doubleheader because we're going to be running the Daytona Road Course as the second race of the season, so one of the fantasy tracks. It's a little different from the actual road course layout. That's why it's labeled as the Daytona Infield on this game. But that is what we are looking at right there. So Daytona 500 followed by the Daytona Road Course. Race number 3 of the season, we are going to be headed to Martinsville. So already going to Martinsville very early in the year. And it's not going to be just any Martinsville race. It is going to be a Martinsville night race as the third race of the season. So Martinsville night race for race number 3. Race number 4, we're going to go to another fantasy track. And we are going to go to the strips at New York City, as we are going to be running the Rush Hour 350 on the New York Street Course. So, New York City Street Course, 175 laps. It's going to be a long one, but that's going to be the 4th race of the season. Again, another fantasy track early in the year. After that, we are going to be headed to Pocono, and that will be our first 50% race of the season. So going to Pocono for the Pocono 500, and then we're going to have another 50% race right after that on the season, and that will be taking place at Dover. And that will be the MBNA Race Points 400. So a couple 50% races early in the season with Pocono, Dover, a couple fantasy tracks early in the year on road courses, Daytona Road Course, New York City Street Course, and then we have, of course, the Daytona 500 and a short track, Martinsville Night Race. So a lot of diversity in the beginning of the schedule to start the season. With that being said, we go back to another super speedway. We'll go to Talladega for race number 7, and it will be the running of the Aaron's 499. After that, it is going to be a doubleheader at Talladega, just like we had with Daytona. We ran the Daytona Road Course infield layout. We are going to be running the Talladega infield after the Talladega Oval race. So another fantasy track early in the season. We'll go to our first traditional road course race of the schedule, as we'll be heading to Watkins Glen for race number 9. So 4 road courses in the first 9 races of the season. And then we'll head to our next Crown Jewel race for race number 10, as it'll be the Coca-Cola 600. So, of course, The longest race of the year as far as scheduled distance. I forgot the slowest motor speedway in this game. I passed it. There it is. Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Ice Demon King 92 Hammer, thanks for tuning in. I will be driving as Greg Biffle, by the way. Yes, I am wearing my Aaron Rodgers jersey. There's a reason I'm not wearing my Brett Favre jersey today. We'll just say that much. I'll leave it at that. But needless to say, go Pack Go. Playing the Bears tonight. Prime time, so I won't miss the game. Another fantasy track following the Coca-Cola 600 will go to the Devil's Canyon. Another fantasy track, 150 laps for that race for the running of the Tumbleweed 300. Following that, we'll head to my home track at the Michigan International Speedway, and it'll be the GFS Marketplace 400. After that, we have another fantasy road course racetrack as we'll head to Speedway Boulevard, which is going to be the Daytona Beach Street Course race essentially. Kind of running that with another doubleheader at Daytona as we'll have the Pepsi 400 at Daytona for race 14. So back at the Daytona International Speedway for that one. Back-to-back super speedway races, by the way. Daytona, Talladega again, although the second Talladega race is going to be a Talladega night race. Assuming that that is available in this game. Oh, it is not available in this game. Well, that stinks. I didn't even think about that. That was a thing in the last game. It is not a thing in this one. We'll still run the next Talladega race right now. I'm not going to modify the schedule last second. So, Daytona, Talladega, back-to-back on the schedule. Right in the middle of the season. Race number 16, we are going to be headed to Bristol. And that will be the first race at Bristol. It'll be the Food City 500 day race. So not going to Bristol for the first time until midway through the year. And then we're going to run another fantasy track, as this is going to be a track that is in the other... Oh, this isn't in this... Hang on, it's got to be in here somewhere. Oh, it is, okay. It wasn't labeled with the fantasy tracks, because it's not a fantasy track. It's a real track. But we are going to the Indianapolis Raceway Park for race number 17, so back-to-back short tracks on the schedule. Bristol, and then we are going to IRP at the Indianapolis Raceway Park with the NASCAR Cup Series. An Indianapolis doubleheader there because we'll be running at IRP, and then we'll also be running at the Big Oval for the Brickyard 400 in race 18 of the season. Race number 19, we'll head to another mile-and-a-half racetrack, the only mile-and-a-half so far in the schedule through the first, the first 18 races would be the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte. So got to get another mile-and-a-half in here soon. We'll go to Las Vegas, and that race will be ran under the lights. So a Las Vegas night race will be in play there. Headed to the Kansas Speedway next, so back-to-back mile-and-a-half racetracks. And then we'll head to Darlington, where we will run a 400-mile race under the lights in the Darlington 400. So 400-mile Darlington night race. After that, we go to another fantasy track, but this one will be a short track on the fantasy side of things as we'll be heading to the Dodge Raceway. So a lot of short tracks and road courses on this schedule. After the Dodge Raceway, we'll go to another fantasy track. We'll head to the Texas Road Course, the Texas infield layout. As you could probably guess, it will be a Texas doubleheader because following that race, we'll be headed to the regular mile-and-a-half Texas Motor Speedway following the road course race, and that will be the running of the Dickies 500. After that, we have two more 50% races on the schedule. First one will be taking, or the third one, I guess, total on the season will be taking place at the California Speedway for the running of the Auto Club 500. And after California, we'll have a race at Atlanta as well. The Golden Corral 500 at Atlanta. So both California and Atlanta will be 50% races. Now into the final 10 races of the season. There will be no chase on this season. So with no chase being on the season, it is a season-long points format, but still an important time of the schedule. We'll be heading to another road course, but it'll be the other road course that was actually on the 2005 schedule at the Infineon Raceway, of course now known as Sonoma Raceway. We'll stay out west as we'll go to Phoenix for the following race. The only trip to Phoenix on the season. It'll be the Subway Fresh 500, which I believe is the night race, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, a doubleheader at Phoenix, because not only we have Phoenix there, I guess we do go to Phoenix a second time, but the second trip at Phoenix will be in the next race, and it'll be the Phoenix infield road course layout. And race number 30, after that, we go to Daytona a third time. Under the lights, another 400-mile race at Daytona. So 3 Daytona races on the schedule. And then after that, we go back to Bristol one more time. And this one will be, of course, the traditional Bristol night race, Sharpie 500. Followed by that, we have another Crown Jewel race. We'll go back to Darlington a second time. This one will be the running of the Southern 500. Dodge Charger Southern 500. Another mile and a half on the schedule at Chicagoland. It'll be the final mile and a half on the schedule. And then another fantasy track following that as we'll head to Dockside. Another street course race. I believe it's in San Bernardino on this game, if I'm not mistaken. So headed to Dockside for the third to last race of the year. The second to last race of the season will be taking place at another fantasy road course. The final road course race of the season at the Old Spice Speedway, a road course we ran at a bunch in the Busch and Truck Series on this game before. And then the final race of the year, a third time at Talladega for the UAW Ford 500. So Talladega will be the season finale. We've been accustomed with the super speedways being kind of a traditional season finale on the custom schedules on this game. We've had some exciting championship races because of that at Talladega, so we're going to keep it on the schedule. I don't think there's any reason to change it until we get like a lackluster finish for the championship in one of those races. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess. I would never want that in real life, but under our video game format, for whatever reason, whether it's a full season points format or the championship 4 races, we seem to have some pretty crazy finishes there. Dark Crypto, thanks for tuning in. Nor Torres, do it for Dale. Why so early? Because we have a lot of racing to get through today. We have a dual race and then a Daytona 500, so I wasn't going to make it a prime time slot for that reason. Plus, Cup Series not racing today, so it's another reason. Stream this afternoon. Daniel McKeon, thanks for tuning in. I don't know if I missed anybody that is watching right now, but again, appreciate everybody. Dig it for the championship finale. It's going to be intense. This is an intense schedule. This is a very difficult schedule. Just to give the fair warning, I did not win a championship in the Cup Series the first season on this game in our Do It for Dale series, unfortunately. So that means if I'm going to win a Cup Series title on this game, I have to do it this season. This is the final chance to do so. And again, this is a crazy custom schedule season. You have 6 super speedway races. I'll have to count real quick how many road courses. With the street course, the road course and street courses combined, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 road course / street course races, 6 super speedways. How many short tracks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 short tracks, and then the rest would be 1.5 miles or Michigan, California, which are 2-mile tracks. So and Pocono. So the rest would be intermediate tracks on the schedule. So a very diverse custom schedule season. Like to see. Look at this. By the way, the races at the end of the year. Old Spice Speedway is 333 laps on a road course. 233 laps on a road course at Dockside. Those are going to be some Old Spice Speedway. That's literally a 500-mile road course race. It's a 1.5 mile road course. 500 miles on an oval is long, but on a road course it's going to be even longer. Oh no, don't cancel that. All right. So with that being said, a couple people have asked which driver I'm going to race as. We are racing as Greg Biffle for the custom schedule season in the Cup Series. You guys do get to vote for the Busch and the Truck Series schedule. And this will be the final day for polling for the Busch Series, and we'll start the Truck Series in the community tab following the stream. I'm going to put a poll in the chat right now for who do you want me to race as in the Busch Series, and then at the end of the stream we will have our poll. So final round. Busch Series season. And I believe Casey Kane, I'll have to double check on this, but I believe Casey Kane is ahead on one of the polls. And then let me check real quick on the other poll. So Casey Kane and Kyle Busch will be the two drivers to pick from for the Busch Series custom schedule season. So Casey Kane for Evernham or Kyle Busch for Hendrick Motorsports will be the two votes. Busch beat out Tony Stewart, Denny Hamlin, 54% to 35% for Stewart and 11% for Hamlin out of 109 votes, and then 105 votes for Casey Kane and Mark Martin. Casey Kane getting 68%, Martin getting 32%. So Greg Biffle will be the first driver, and there's quite a few paint schemes Greg Biffle actually has on this game. I think on NASCAR 05 he had 3. He had pretty much just the one in the test scheme on NASCAR Thunder 2004, but we got the National Guard paint scheme, one of my favorite, if not the favorite, Greg Biffle paint scheme of mine throughout his career. We got his Post-it paint scheme, which famously won that Kansas race in the basically in the dark. Oh no, that was the Aflac race car, I think. Actually, never mind. He has won some races with the Post-it paint scheme though. So we got the Post-it. We got National Guard. We've got Subway, of course. That's a great paint scheme. I've always liked that Subway car. The Charter car for the Busch Series from the 60 is now on the 16. I like this paint scheme also. Still got the Granger paint scheme as well, which he ran his... this is his 04 paint scheme, actually. And then we also have the Subway paint scheme from that same season. So quite a few paint schemes for Greg Biffle in this game. Appreciative of that. And we're going to try to get Greg Biffle his first career championship. Couldn't get Dale Jr. his first career title, but we'll try to do that with Greg Biffle. VG Clips, thanks for tuning in. Old Spice, second best road course besides Watkins Glen as far as on this game. Yeah, well, I don't know, man. That's a long race. If it wasn't for that long of a race, it would be more exciting, I feel. Well, obviously, there's no point standings to look at right now. I'll just run the regular National Guard paint scheme for the first race. I'll probably alternate it pretty much every race. Bob Blood, thanks for tuning in. All right. Well, on to Daytona, ladies and gentlemen. I obviously have not practiced yet, so I will do that in the stream. So we'll run some practice, I'll qualify, and then we'll run the dual race followed by the 500. So buckle up, it's going to be a fun day of racing. Already 9 votes in the chat, 78% for Kyle Busch. I have a feeling that Kyle Busch is going to win the poll, but we'll see. Oh, I don't want to end it. NASCAR 15 Let's Plays. At some point in time. I'm trying to go in chronological order by year. So 07 will be next. Bill Weber trying to talk over me. Shut up, Bill. You guys probably couldn't hear it till just now. Just talk about like heartbreak, hope, and happiness all of a sudden. Alright, we've got to get a setup here because I'm just going to be honest, I stink at Daytona on this game. Oh, it didn't save either. I don't think it did. Can't add downforce though. I don't know, maybe it did. I'll just keep the wedge. I'll just keep it standard for right now. I think it saved the setup from the first season. I really hope it did. I'm on the same profile, the game profile, so I would imagine it would have saved. If not, that's going to be bad. But practice for the Daytona 500 underway. Don't usually show practice on the stream, but wanted to show you guys what the custom schedule was going to look like. I'll maybe post something in the community tab later as well. I don't know if this is the setup I used when I ran the Pepsi 400 at Daytona, which would have been the most recent race here. Got a car Yeah, Kurt Busch blowing by me on the outside. I shouldn't have pulled that low out of the way because, well, I wasn't going to get up to speed yet anyway. I'd like to draft with somebody in practice so I have a feel for what the car's going to handle like in dirty air. So I'm going to run about 7 laps total. Going to practice a pit stop here. Just trying to get a feel for the race car. As the thumbnail states, I have not won at Daytona in a points-paying cup race on NASCAR EA Sports game. I'm 0 for 5 in the Thunder 04 series. 0 for 5 in the NASCAR 05 series, and I'm 0 for 2 so far in the NASCAR 06 series. We've got 3 races at Daytona this season. If I fail to win any of those 3 races at Daytona, I will literally be 0 for 15 at Daytona on the NASCAR EA Sports games that we've played on the channel. I have finished second in the Daytona 500. In fact, in the very first one on the EA Sports Series in NASCAR Thunder 04, that was the closest I came to winning it. I think I only have 3 top 10 finishes in those 12 races, so I'm usually not pretty good at Daytona in this game. Or this style of game. It's tough. So it's kind of like qualifying trim right now because there's nobody around me. The car handles fine in clean air, but dirty air, it's going to be a problem. Obviously, on older tires, it's going to be a problem. We're not going to have a great feel for what the car's going to feel like on older tires until the dual race. The good thing is that we do have a 60-lap dual race to run. So I could try some different things there to potentially, obviously, finish as good as I can because that's going to set the field for the Daytona 500. Unless I qualify on the front row, which isn't impossible. 47.816. So that's kind of what I'm looking at in qualifying right now. The mid-47s. I don't know if that's going to be fast enough. I don't think it is. I'm just going to practice my pit stop this time, and hopefully I can cycle out around other cars, because right now I'm just running by myself. I'm fine for a couple laps doing that for qualifying trim, but I'd like to try to get some drafting practice in. Oh, 80% for Kyle Busch right now. Alright, gonna practice pit stop. I don't want to lock the tires up because I might have to take some 2-tire stops in the 500, so gonna have to get used to trying to get to pit road speed without locking the tires up. And I'd say I did a pretty good job. Not gonna make any adjustments. I'll leave it the way it is, just get more practice and more of a feel with this car. Doesn't take much contact to turn cars in this game, I will say that much. We've seen that at many tracks in this game. Doesn't matter what series you're in. Especially in the Cup Series, though, because it's more horsepower. Me and you are opposites. So good at Daytona, Talladega, the EA games. I'm good in the NASCAR Heat Series at Daytona, Talladega, and even NASCAR 21 Ignition I am, but for whatever reason on the EA Sports side of things, I cannot get good finishes at Daytona and Talladega. I won at Talladega with Dale Jr. the first race there. Outside of that, though, I think I only won one other Talladega race. I think I have 2 wins at Dega in the Cup Series on the EA Sports side, and none at Daytona. And with having 6 of them on the schedule, and this being a custom schedule season, every finish we have early in the year is going to matter. I need to get off to a good start so I'm not having to play catch-up like I did last season, because obviously it bit me. Because I wasn't able to catch up. I was able to catch up in the Busch and Truck Series. The good news is we do have a season, so outside of the fantasy tracks, those are going to be new that we have not raced at in the Cup Series on this game, but all the tracks that are non-fantasy tracks, though, that are on the schedule, we have raced at before, so at least we have a decent setup for most of them. The super speedways, Dover, California, and Charlotte, I think are really like the only tracks I can think of off the top of my head where I did not run well at all, just did not have a great handling car. So those are races I'm going to have to work hard on in practice and qualifying as well. I think Kurt Busch is right behind me, so we're going to have a little bit of drafting practice for a few laps. Jimmy Spencer in the mix. I think Ricky Rudd's the next car ahead of me in the 21. Westbound Badger, thanks for tuning in. We'll let Kurt Busch get by so I can draft behind him. Well, he doesn't want to pass me yet. Get down in front of him. I'll try to let him get around me in turns 1 and 2 next time. Greg Biffle won the Daytona 500 on our NASCAR 06 season in our Do It for Dale series. That was the only win he had the whole year. You have more teammates to swap through than at DEI as well for the field passes. Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards, Mark Martin. Of course, Edwards got the championship in his rookie season. See how good of a rookie season he'll have this time around with the season-long points format rather than with the chase. Biff will get a lift. Oh, of course. So I let Kurt Busch finally get by E-pits. Well, we had about a lap and a half of drafting practice. And all of the drafting practice was with Kurt Busch below, or sorry, I should say behind Greg Biffle. So we still don't know what this car is going to handle like in a pack until we run this dual race in a few minutes. Jimmy Johnson was over here in England at Goodwood. Is this like this weekend? Or is this like a long time ago? Alrighty, well. That's enough of that. We've had enough single car practice. At least I get a feel for what the car's going to handle like in qualifying, which is good. Let's get qualifying underway. You'll get to see the ticker at the bottom of the screen for all the qualifying efforts throughout the course of the season. That's the nice thing about this game. Hope they bring that back in future installments. The session qualifying was kind of nice on the NASCAR Heat Series because at least you could see lap times from other drivers if you did session qualifying. Not even really sure why I was on the apron there. It's not like practice where there was other cars on the racetrack. I had to stay down low. May take Biffle a little longer to get up to speed because of it. Oh, he did yesterday. Okay. We'll run the outside on the warm-up lap. May run the outside as well on this first lap. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Biffle on lap 2. Nope, he's going to go down to the apron. He's just going to try to run the bottom all the way around the track for 2 straight laps and hope that he can, at the very least, qualify second. Third on back, he's not going to be locked into a starting spot in the Daytona 500. He'll have to race his way for a starting spot in the dual race. Hooked to that yellow line. You hit the apron, you're at risk of wrecking. But he hugged it quite a bit in the second half of the corner. First half, he was a bit tight. Didn't arc the corner off enough. He had 36 races in the season. Our Do It for Dale series, I had an average finish of right around, what was it? Average finish of 15, I believe. So we're definitely going to have to boost that up. 48.193, that's 14th on lap 1. So Dale Jr., sorry, Greg Biffle, I got to get used to this not being Dale Jr. anymore. Greg Biffle looking for the pole time on lap 2. He struggled in turns 3 and 4 just a bit on speed. I think the back straightaway as a whole doesn't really have the straightaway speed in this 16 car. A lot better through 1 and 2 compared to lap 1, and we'll see. He's not really tracking for the front row anymore, but definitely trying to improve from 14, so he's not having to start nearly mid-pack in the dual race. If he doesn't get the front row, trying to get as better of a starting position for the dual race as possible. Lost some speed off the exit of turn 4. He's going to go to the apron in the middle of the tri-oval right now, trying to shortcut. Barely faster on lap number 2. He gained 3 positions on his second lap versus lap 1. So 11th is where Greg Biffle will qualify in on the Daytona 500. And it looks like Carl Edwards will be on the pole. So rookie on the pole in the Daytona 500. And Greg Biffle will be racing in dual race number 1. You'll get to see the dual race rules on your screen. Of course, for those of you that don't know, the inside lane, or the odd numbers based off of qualifying, will be in dual race number 1, and then the even numbers will be in dual race number 2. And obviously, race 1 will be the running order. The finishing order of race 1 will determine the inside row. Race 2 will determine the outside row for the Daytona 500. The only drivers locked into their spots off of qualifying would be the drivers who qualified first and second. Again, Carl Edwards will be on the pole, and I didn't see who was in second, to be completely honest. The green flag is in the air. Edwards going to lead the field to the green, and we are underway in our Daytona dual race. Greg Biffle trying to get down to the bottom of the racetrack. Gave a little bump draft to Casey Kane in the 9. Pretty good launch, though, for Biffle, and he's able to get to the inside 3 wide despite the bump draft he gave to Kane. I'm surprised that didn't stall his momentum out. Probably had a shot to move up in front of Casey Kane. Chose to be a little patient with it. Now he hops in line in front of Shane Mill. Considering he qualified 11th, technically is a 6th place starting spot for Greg Biffle in this duel. All 5 Roush Fenway Fords make up, or are made up, in this 22-car field. And it looks like Dale Jarrett is going to lead lap 1 by inches over Dale Jr. No points are on the line in this race. 60 laps, the field will have to pit 1 time. So Dale Jarrett leads lap 1. Dale Jr. to the lead on lap 2. With help from Carl Edwards. Greg Biffle, Kurt Busch kind of nose to tail right now. Biffle with a run, back straightaway, dives under Casey Kane. Oh, Dale Jr.'s blowing an engine! From the lead, Earnhardt out! Oh, boy, we about had a wreck there. I think Dale Jarrett checked up for Dale Jr. trying to get to the inside of the racetrack, and Biffle ended up making contact with the 88. Both cars went up into the wall. About had the big one. That's going to stall Biffle out. Wasn't a big hit into the wall. I think he's all right. He's got hung up on the back bumper of Dale Jarrett's race car. I think Jarrett checked up when Earnhardt went to the apron after blowing an engine from the lead. That means Dale Jr. is going to be starting last in the Daytona 500 later today. Somehow Biffle held on to 4th and Jarrett held on to 2nd. Sterling Marlin to the inside of the 16. He got into him, knocks him up into the wall. Big moments already for Greg Biffle today. We have a lot of drivers that get through on the field pass in this race. So I'll probably end up doing that next lap. It's only 60 laps. Biffle back to 6th, right where he started. Field got spaced out after the contact between Jarrett and Biffle. And Dale Jr. blew an engine from the lead. Jr. tight. In line behind Kenseth. And we'll switch to Mark Martin in the 6. Martin down low. 3 wide off turn 2 up ahead. Middle of the pack. Martin trying to get around Boris Said on the back straightaway. That didn't work. Said throws a block. Kyle Petty making some... Oh, we got trouble! Trouble at the back of the pack. Kyle Busch is around off turn 4. Cautions out for the first time of dual race number 1. 3 wide off the exit of the corner. Busch and Meal get together. Contact. Kyle Busch goes around, and we have a caution for the first time today. And then Kenny Wallace was in the 0-0 on the outside of Busch and Meal. Pretty good save for the most part, though, from Kyle Busch. And Mark Martin will stay out. Luckily, Martin was able to get on the brakes in time and made a little contact with the car in front of him, but it wasn't too hard of a hit by any means. Single file restarts. Mark DeMars, thanks for tuning in. Green flag is in the air. Edwards will lead the field to the green at lap 9. One caution in the early going of our Daytona dual race number 1. We will not see dual race number 2. In fact, none of the 5 Roush Fenway Fords will be in that race. So all 5 of them trying to work together to at least get one of them to victory lane in dual race number 2, or dual race number 1 rather, and it's going to be harder for them to all finish towards the front and have good starting spots with that being said, but we'll see. Kyle Busch, even in his rookie season, showing his great driving prowess with that save after contact 3 wide off the exit of turn 4. And we got to see it because we swapped to Mark Martin on that lap. Happened right in front of the 6. Luckily, Martin was able to not get involved in it. Nice little run for Martin through the tri-oval. Gets by the 141. Look at the speed from Martin on the front stretch. Makes 2 passes. Moves up to 17th. Busch about got in the wall again going into turn 1. Kyle Busch is struggling with the handling of that 5 car right now. Mark Martin's got a major run. Busch tried to chop him off. Martin going to go 3 wide down to the bottom of the racetrack looking to make some passes. And he's going to do that. He slides himself in line. That was a tight gap, but Martin got the job done. And how about Mark Martin? Gaining 4 spots after the restart already. 3 wide behind Martin. Kyle Busch in similar situation what he was in prior to him wrecking. And we'll go to Matt Kenseth in the 17 car. Kenseth in 5th, Biffle 4th. Again, we're racing as Biffle for this season. Kenseth lifting a little bit. He's trying to keep the 16 in front of him. He's going to work with him right now. With the wall trip up in the mix. His teammate out of the race, of course, of Dale Jr. already. Kenseth looking to just kind of stay in line right now. Follow Greg Biffle, trying to push him into 3rd. Biffle finally to the inside of 2-time Daytona 500 winner Sterling Marlin. A bump draft to Marlin, but Marlin wasn't going anywhere, and Kenseth will get underneath him for 4th. Jarrett with a block on Biffle, while Carl Edwards is slowly pulling away at the front of the field. Say the Roush cars working well together in the early going of the race. Biffle on the inside of Jarrett for 2nd. Kenseth with a big run, back straightaway. Pushing Greg Biffle into turns 3 and 4. Kenseth follows the 16. Kenseth also gets by Jarrett. Roush Fenway Racing is now 1-2-3 at the front of the field in dual race number 1 at Daytona. They have worked well together early on. We'll go to Carl Edwards, who is the lead driver right now in the 99. And we'll race with him for a couple laps, then we still have to get to Kurt Busch, and then we'll go back to Biffle for a little bit. 2 field passes to get through in this race, so trying to get through this quickly in the early going with it only being 60 laps. I gotta stop hitting that apron. That's gonna turn me around one of these times. Good thing we have 60-lap dual race to try and work this out a little bit. Carl Edwards looking speedy, though. He might have a car that's capable of winning the Daytona 500, when you consider the fact that Carl Edwards qualified on the pole. He won our first season in his rookie season. I think he's looking for an even better rookie year. He won 6 races in the championship. I don't know what could be much better. Greg Biffle looking to the outside for the race lead on his teammate. Again, no bonus points on the line in this race. Edwards by inches led that lap. Matt Kenseth possibly going with the 16 car. 3 cars at the front of the field, just all trying to protect. Edwards committed with just kind of holding his line right now. Biffle to the lead for the first time today. I'm not worried about blocking Biffle because that's who we're racing as anyway. And Greg Biffle is going to be all clear. Moving down onto the bottom of the racetrack. Big block from Biffle on the 99 of Edwards. Edwards with a little drafting help in front of him now. Hooked to that yellow line through the corner. Kenseth on the wall off turn 4. That's going to stack him up a bit. And we'll go to the 97 of Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch still in the top 10, currently in 8th. Kind of floated right around like 5th to 8th this entire race so far. Got both the Evernham Dodgers in front of him. Jeremy Mayfield, Casey Kane. Notice there are a lot of teammates in this race. And they all seem to be running together for the most part. Corey Freet for tuning in. Big run for Kurt Busch. Back straight away. He'll take it 3 wide under the Evernham Dodges of Casey Kane and Jeremy Mayfield, and that will move Busch to 6th. 1, 2, 3 for Roush Fenway Racing. They have another car in 6th, and then Mark Martin was 14th the last we saw. Marlin with a run off turn 4, looking under Jarrett. Jarrett with a block. Busch hanging on for now. Busch to the defending series champion in the 2004 season, coming into this 05 season, trying to go back-to-back. Marlin might have had a shot to get underneath Jarrett that time. Didn't happen. Greg Biffle still leading the field right now. A little bit of a gap. Kurt Busch getting a push. Either Casey Kane or Jeremy Mayfield behind him. That's a deep dive into turn 3. That may not work for Busch. He's going to go around and back up into the pack. Up and over goes Busch at Daytona in dual race number 1. He got squeezed going into the corner, and he was way too low on entry, and around goes Busch as he has flipped in front of the pack, the big one in dual race number 1. Marlin ran him down the track, and instead of just lifting and falling in line behind him, Busch went for it and failed miserably. And they may be within the pit window to make it on fuel to the end of the race now. We'll see if anybody hits pit road. And they will stay out. Kurt Busch, obviously involved in the accident, will be going to the tail end of the field. And we might see some debris cautions in the fallout from that big wreck. Well, green flag back in the air. Kurt Busch had a great starting spot for this race until that happened. Big block by the 141 on the restart. They usually say one of the dual races are more calm than the other one. I think dual race number 2 is probably going to be the more calm one, considering that wreck. We'll go back to Greg Biffle in the 16 car next. Red flag immediately, yeah. I think Kurt Busch has all the speed that he had in the race car taken out after that one. It's still 1, 2, 3 for Roush Fenway at the front of the field, though, on the restart. It looks like Kenseth's up to P2 as he got around Carl Edwards. I'd have to imagine there will be some debris cautions. Nobody pitted. It's probably still just outside the field window to make it to the end of this race. And caution. I was about to switch to Biffle, and then the caution came out for debris in the middle of the pack. Already our 3rd caution of dual race number 1. This is going to be debris off Casey Kane's race car. It was the first car that ended up hitting Kurt Busch when Busch spun that caused Busch to flip. I think Edwards by nose was still in 3rd over Jarrett. Well, Kurt Busch is going to pit for fuel and tires at the back of the pack right now with that caution coming out. And we'll see if anybody else is going to pit. We're a little bit closer to the end, and Kurt is going to pit. This is the only strategy Kurt Busch has left going for him here. You might as well pit for tires and fuel He may be able to make it to the end of the race. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, Kane was showing some pretty good speed. That's probably going to be gone now. Coincidentally, we might be racing as Kane in the Busch Series. Based off our polls right now, it's getting a lot closer. Definitely vote in the poll in the chat for who you want me to race as in the Busch Series season on NASCAR 06 or the custom schedule season. Kyle Busch and Casey Kane are the two drivers to vote for based off of the polls we had earlier in the week. Clean stop for the 97 crew, by the way. He's the first driver to pit for fuel and tires, and we'll see if we can get a lap in here before we go back to Greg Biffle again. Green flag is back in the air. The only car out of the race is Dale Jr. after blowing an engine. Nobody was out of the race after the big one we had seen right around lap 20. Better restart for Busch on the fresher tires this time, but he's still got a lot of damage on his race car. Gets 2 spots to 19th initially, though, getting by the 141 and the 45 of Kyle Petty. It looks like they're going to split him 3 wide. Petty in the wall, though, on the outside off turn 2. I think we're going to see some cars pit as soon as the window opens to the end of the race, I'd have to assume. Big block by Kyle Petty on Busch going into the corner. And we've got some cars pitting. No surprise. Waltrip, Marlin, Shane Meal, I believe, are the 3 cars that just pitted. No double yellow line rule in this game, so wasn't worried about it there. And Greg Biffle in the 16 car out in front right now in this dual race. Big block on Dale Jarrett in the middle of the corner, down on the bottom of the racetrack. Only 35 laps to go in dual race number 1 with the 3 cautions we've had so far. About halfway on fuel for a lot of the drivers out there right now. So the window is probably open to the end with everybody pitting when they did. Kurt Busch pitted for fuel or tires, though, during that 3rd caution. He may have a shot to make it to the end on fuel. It's going to be tight for him. Nobody else pitted, though, so it's going to be interesting to see how that's all going to play out. I have to watch out for those cars that just pitted coming to the start-finish line right now. They're going to be getting up to speed on the back straightaway as the field is at 190-plus miles an hour right now in turns 1 and 2. Edwards Kenseth still running 2nd and 3rd. Shane Meal going to go a lap down on the bottom of the racetrack. 16 of Biffle will clear him down to the inside. Kenseth gets held up behind Meal. And now Meal goes to the outside in the middle of the corner. More cars pitting. It looks like Jeremy Mayfield's on his way in. It's going to be tough to keep Carl Edwards, behind Greg Biffle in this race. Still have one more field pass to get through, but I'm going to wait until we get through green flag pit stops. So we're going to have a little field strategy and pit strategy likely for Greg Biffle. Edwards to the outside, but Kenseth going to go with Biffle instead of Edwards, who had the run initially. Kenseth didn't want to go up high, it seems. Edwards in the wall off turn 4. A lot of cars getting tight off the exit of the corners. That's how we saw that first accident on lap 9 with Kyle Busch. Didn't help he was 3 wide either. The 16 car, though, is strong. I don't think he's the strongest car. I think Carl Edwards is going to be the one to beat in the 500, at least of this dual race. Biffle trying to win so he can start 3rd, right behind that teammate Carl Edwards, so he can hopefully try to stay with him throughout the course of the 500 a little bit better. Kenseth looking low. Biffle thought about blocking, thought better of it. Biffle in the wall, though. He couldn't run the outside. Could not run the outside. He'll lose the lead to Kenseth. Kenseth out in front for the first time today. Biffle will still hold on to 2nd, though, in front of Edwards. Kyle Busch has rallied from his early spin to 5th, but also hasn't hit pit road. Only a few drivers have. I think only 4 drivers total have hit the pits. 5 if you include Kurt Busch, but he may not make it on fuel to the end. He gets another caution, he might be able to. Kenseth had a big lead out in front of Greg Biffle. It's going to give Biffle a run into the corner. Kenseth tried to block. There was contact. Biffle in the lead. I'd like to see contact between teammates in that kind of situation, but Edwards up to P2. Kenseth back to 3rd. Biffle the block on the 99. Kenseth and Biffle trying to fight for their best starting spot possible in the 500 yet. Edwards is locked into the pole. But he's still trying to race for bragging rights. The rookie trying to win the Daytona Duel. Kenseth, Edwards side by side. They'll side draft each other. It's allowing Biffle to pull away a little bit into turns 3 and 4. A lot of straightaway speed down the back. So we seem to be struggling in qualifying on speed, at least single car. But in the race, it seems like he's got a little bit more speed in the draft on the straightaways. Just past halfway. Edwards up to the outside. Kenseth back into P2 again. Kenseth trying to block Edwards on the back straightaway. You know what? I'm going to take the second and final field pass of the race right now. Just to get it done and out of the way, so when we get into the final 20 laps of the race, we'll have a better chance here. We'll drive as the 97 of Kurt Busch first, means he was involved in that wreck earlier. And you know what's unbelievable? Kurt Busch flipped and he's up to 7th. Some of those leaders obviously pitted, but still. He's right behind. Oh, Kenseth's in the wall. Kenseth up into the wall. Everybody misses him. Kurt Busch with a run on Casey Kane. Casey Kane hits Kurt Busch on the back straightaway. Busch hangs onto it and makes a pass for 5th. Casey upset after Kurt Busch had wrecked going into turn 3 and hit him. He tried to take him out. Casey very furious with Kurt Busch right now. Great job by Kurt Busch keeping car control through all that. That cut their momentum down quite a bit, though. I don't know what happened to Kenseth. He just got up into the wall all of a sudden in the middle of the corner. Probably transfer to him next. Triple Crown pole, duel in 500. Yeah, that's very true. He's got a shot in second. Especially with Kenseth having his problems. Biffle getting a draft off of one of the lap cars at the back of the pack. And we'll go to Kenseth in the 17. Kenseth fell back to 8th after getting into the wall while running second. I don't know if he just got tight behind Biffle or maybe arrow loose from the 99 of Edwards. Maybe Edwards accidentally bump drafted him in the middle of the corner that costed the 17. I don't know what it was exactly, but Kenseth trying to catch Casey Mears in the 41. Spread out as the field is, he's only 2.6 seconds off the lead. Leaders dealing with a lap car right now for those who just pitted after the restart. There's no Budweiser shootout on this game, unfortunately. Otherwise, we would have had that today rather than the duel in Daytona 500, but it's all right. I'll gladly hop into the biggest race of the season. It's the dual race. Daytona 500's on the same stream right after this. Not a 60-lap 500. 3 cautions so far in this dual race. 2 for accidents, 1 for debris. Kurt Busch had flipped earlier in the race, sparking the big one. Kyle Busch got in a spin after contact going 3 wide with Kenny Wallace, and another car a little bit earlier on as well. We'll go to Mark Martin in the 6, who was in 9th. All 5 Roush Fenway Fords currently in the top 10. Got to give them credit for it. They're showing some great speed in the 500 in this dual race. Or for the 500 in this dual race. Quarter tank of gas left for Martin. Eugene Huddleston, thank you for tuning in. 3 drivers have won the Triple Crown. Cale Yarborough in 84, Bill Elliott 85, Fireball Roberts in 62. Did not know that. Yeah, Edwards trying to go for that today. Biffle coming in, so is Edwards, so the 2 leaders will pit. Going to be interesting to see who's going to cycle out in front of him. Looks like Carl Edwards a lot harder on his braking zone into the pits than Biffle. Have to make sure not to speed. Means it's probably going to be a 4-tire stop, I'd have to imagine, for the 16 team as well as the rest of the field. Next lap I was going to transfer to Carl Edwards. Kyle Busch in the lead, by the way, for the first time today after spinning earlier. And now Kyle Busch will pit from the lead. Kurt Busch out in front. Taking it away from his brother. Waiting for Edwards to get up to speed before I can switch to him. That's why the red X is over him. Remember, Kurt Busch pitted during that 3rd caution for fuel and tires after the debris from Casey Kane. So can Kurt Busch actually make it on fuel to the end of this race is going to be interesting. We'll go to Edwards in the 99 now. Finally up to speed. Looks like Greg Biffle cycle out in front of Edwards. Had time to power back into the throttle. Because of Carl. Mark Martin's going to be on his way into the pits. Still more cars cycling off the pit road this time. Who's going to have that quicker pit stop? This is a bumpy Daytona surface, obviously, compared to now, too, so tire wear is very important. So if you do pit early, that could cycle you out in front as well. Edwards going to get by Kyle Busch. He'll probably be able to draft with Busch, I'd have to imagine, very soon. And we'll go back to Greg Biffle for the final 21 laps of the race this time by. If a caution comes out for the 4th time in this dual race, though, before the finish, Kurt Busch is going to lap a lot of drivers a lap down, so if he does choose to pit, he's not going to restart that far back in the field. With that being the case. We'll transfer to Biffle. Oh no, he got very slow when we did that. Oh my goodness. That is a terrible mishap for Greg Biffle. He didn't wreck, but he was all over the place there, and now he's trying to block as he's getting back up to speed. That was very strange. Edwards got by as well. Biffle in 9th. Kurt Busch may have to pit still. That would only be one more spot. Very tight off turn 4. This guy's racing hard. 20 to go. Some cars leaving pit road still through turns 1 and 2 that could be for position. Biffle getting his speed back. He's led a lot of laps in this dual race. Probably the most of any other driver. It's a shame that that happened when it did. He's going to need somebody in front of him so he can draft behind them. Coming up on the field that is just exiting the pits right now, so maybe he could catch this next race car up ahead, who I think is Casey Mears in the 41, if I had to imagine. Or maybe we get a caution that bunches the field up before the end yet, which is likely. Ryan Newman to the inside of Marlin for 10th. Michael Waltrip, I believe, is the last car in the lead lap. Pure chaos. This whole duel race has been pure chaos. Biffle giving Ryan Newman the bottom of the racetrack through turns 1 and 2. He's hoping Newman gets around him without Biffle having to lift, so then he can draft behind Ryan Newman in the 12. That's what he's going to do. So he's going to sacrifice a position right now with 19 laps to go in the hopes of trying to run down the rest of the leaders in the draft behind the 12. And I don't think you can blame Biffle for trying to share draft and try something different. He's had a great race. He's still in the top 10, but finishing here would start him 19th, though, in the Daytona 500, which would not be ideal. I'm trying to go for my first Daytona win on an EA Sports game. It's 46 seconds off the lead, but again, that's because Kurt Busch has not made a pit stop under green flag conditions. He pitted under the last caution. He may make it on field to the end. He may not. We'll have to see. We haven't had another yellow since. So he's really just trying to save fuel by drafting behind other lap cars right now. Yeah, Kurt Busch flipped and he still might win based off the fuel strategy. Ryan Newman, Greg Biffle, though, working together. They have definitely caught the 41 car of Casey Mears. And they have also pulled away from the pack behind them. Kurt Busch could go fuel only as well. I would if I were him. We're only going to have a couple laps to go. Biffle right in line behind Ryan Newman. Will Newman pull out of line and try to make a pass on Casey Mears? So right now, not doing it. Newman looking low, but Mears with a bit of a block. Back straightaway now. It's amazing how tight the car gets in the dirty air. Just naturally gravitates towards that middle to upper groove. As is Newman behind the 41. 16 laps to go yet in this race. Daytona 500 soon to follow. At least these guys are staying single file. Maybe they'll have a better shot of trying to catch the cars in front of them. Biffle's going to have to work with somebody. He's going to get to the inside of Ryan Newman on the back straightaway. And to the inside of Casey Mears in the 41 as well. And he'll make both passes now, leaving him up to 8th. He's going to go up to block Mears. 8th place right now is Biffle. He's going to run the outside in turns 1 and 2. He's going to hope Ryan Newman could get back around him again. Newman couldn't get around the 41 on his own. Biffle had to basically pass both of them, but then Newman gets around Mears after Biffle did. Biffle back in line behind Newman, and now they can draft together with nobody in front of him this time. So if Kurt Busch pits, they're trying to catch that 4-car pack at the front. There's still 2-car... not really a pack, but 2 cars that are drafting with each other that Newman and Biffle would have to catch next. That would be in 6th and 7th, and then there's a 4-car group, and then obviously the leader, Kurt Busch, behind them yet. 46.5 seconds off the lead. We know Biffle's got a fast race car, and he's a lot faster in the draft than what he is single car speed as well. I'm not ruling him out yet. 14 laps at Daytona is still a long time. Around this 2.5 mile racetrack. Yeah, that voting poll 50-50 right now. That will not end until the end of the stream. 47.256 that last lap for Biffle. A little bit of tandem racing, it seems, between Biffle and Newman. Didn't really see that too much with the Gen 4 cars, especially at a bumpy Daytona. Kind of seeing it right now as the field spaced apart after green flag pit stops. Second half of this race, a lot more team than the first half. .47.090 that last lap, one of the fastest laps of the race for Biffle. Dale Jarrett is the next car in front of Newman and Biffle. Biffle doesn't want to pull out a line yet. Newman went high and Biffle had a run, but just stayed in line behind Newman at least for a little bit longer. Big run for Biffle, back straightaway. He's on the inside of the 12 car. 12 trying to move back up. Jarrett's going to move down. Biffle will draft with Dale Jarrett. That is a pass made on Newman for position. Biffle up to 8th place. Jarrett's had some speed today. He led at the start. Back at 7th right now. Again, still waiting if Kurt Busch is going to have to pit or not. Fastest lap of the race, that last lap for Biffle, 47.056. He's probably going to have to get around Jarrett on the back straightaway unless Jarrett could get to the inside and get around either Casey Kane or Jeremy Mayfield right in front of him. I'm not sure which one it is yet. Jarrett looking low off turn 2. He's going to get blocked, though. Trying to push Dale Jarrett in that 88 car. Into turns 3 and 4. Biffle might not have to pull out a line, make it pass. Biffle's getting help from Ryan Newman also, so that inside line is moving forward. Casey Kane is going to get blocked now off the exit of turn 4 by Jarrett, who made the pass. Biffle's going to have to try to get around Casey Kane now as well. In the tri-oval, Kane with a block. Looking low is Biffle. Biffle can't get around him. Now he's drafting with Casey Kane into 1 and 2. And he might just have to work with the 9 cars without a hood. It probably isn't as fast as the 12 or the 88. Biffle to 7, just 10 laps to go in Daytona Duel race number 1. Newman following Biffle and Kane on the bottom also gets by Jarrett. So Jarrett got hung out to dry after leading that pack just a little bit. And now the leaders are just up ahead. I don't think it's over. And the top 2 are spaced apart. Well, I guess Kurt Busch obviously is well ahead still. He still hasn't pit, and he's going to run that thing dry, I'd have to imagine. If Kurt Busch pits, it's going to be with just a couple laps to go. Every position matters, even though this isn't for points. This is for the starting position for the first points race of the year, the Daytona 500. It's not like now where the top 10 get points either, so a little less important maybe, but bumpy Daytona, track position's definitely going to matter. I don't think Casey Kane's quite as fast because Ryan Newman's still keeping up with the 16 and the 9 just a little bit. Dale Jarrett not so much. Because the other 3 cars are working better than just the 1. Comment in the chat down below, do you think Biffle's going to catch 2nd place? Which could be potentially for the win if Kurt Busch has to pit. And we never know, Kurt Busch could just cycle out with the lead after pitting as well. That's perfectly possible. As far as I know, the only car out of the race is still Dale Jr., who blew up just a couple laps in while leading. Carl Edwards, by the way, would be a great car for Biffle to work with. Not only a teammate, but likely the fastest car in the field. He's the next car in front of Casey Kane, currently in 5th. Biffle in the wall. Off turn 4, trying to stay in the gas. He's got help from behind from Ryan Newman. That definitely cost him a little bit of time, but I think he's going to stay with Kane. Kane almost close enough behind Carl Edwards right now. Edwards going up towards the outside, but so is Casey Kane. Biffle has to go down to block Newman, though. These guys aren't as organized anymore. Oh, Newman blew an engine. Ryan Newman has just blown a motor. Tough break for him. He was running in 8th place. So Ryan Newman in 8th has just blown an engine. Second driver to have an engine failure today. I think Mark Martin, by the way, is the car right around Carl Edwards in the 99 currently. So that's a couple Roush Fenway Fords just up ahead. Biffle sitting behind Kane. Edwards going a bit wide. Biffle's going to try to pass Kane on the back straightaway this time for 6th. If he can get enough of a run. Kane's getting a lot of drafting help, though, from in front of him, from Carl Edwards, but we'll see. No help from behind Biffle anymore with Newman blowing an engine to the inside. Pass is made. Edwards trying to get underneath of Mark Martin as well right now. Not going to happen. Roush Fenway Fords are dominating this race. All 5 of them inside the top 6. Contact a little bit between Edwards and Martin. Stalls out Carl Edwards' momentum in the tri-oval. Biffle's able to get underneath him. Rookie mistake from Edwards on a veteran Mark Martin, and Greg Biffle is behind Martin now. And up to 5th. What a rally from Biffle. He only fell back to 10th, but it feels like he fell back further than that. 5 laps for Mark Martin and Greg Biffle to try to catch the 2 cars in front of him. And again, we still don't know if Kurt Busch can make it on fuel to the end of the race or not. It's going to be close. Biffle had to lift a little bit to let Martin get back to the inside. Biffle really wants that 6 car to run the bottom consistently, not so much on the top. Edwards trying to stay closely behind as well. Big bump draft from Biffle to Martin in the tri-oval. Biffle being a lot more aggressive with the pushing. And they're getting away from Edwards a little bit. So you can tell the 6 and the 16 are having a little bit of speed going for them. I don't know, 3 laps yet. The good news is those cars are not drafting with anybody, so it may be possible. Can Kurt Busch win the race on fuel mileage? 2 laps to go for Busch. 3 laps for pretty much everybody else yet. It'll be down to 2.5 this time by. Kurt Busch trying to start 3rd in the Daytona 500. Martin Biffle going to have 2 laps to try to catch up to those 2 cars in front of him. Will Kurt Busch pit this time? If he does not... Oh, he is! Kurt Busch is out of gas coming to the white flag. Kurt Busch is on pit road. He's out of fuel. 2 to go. Oh my goodness. Kurt Busch is out of gas while leading. Final lap. It's going to be the longest final lap of all time because Kurt Busch is on pit road right now, but has received the white flag. Will we have a last lap pass for the winner? Will Kurt Busch be able to rally still? Martin and Biffle are fast, but I don't think they're fast enough to catch the 2 cars in front of him yet. Biffle's going to stay behind Martin. He's going to pull out a line and try to pass him, though, back straightaway if they don't have a run to make a pass on anybody else. Who is going to win? Busch is leaving pit road. He's a lap short on fuel after pitting during that 3rd caution. Will he come out of the pits trying to block? He's just hoping he can get up to speed faster than everybody else. I think Matt Kensington's 2nd, and there's no chance Kurt Busch is going to win this race. Matt Kensington the lead. A last lap pass on his teammate Kurt Busch. Biffle gets around Busch as well as Martin. Now he's going to go to the inside of Martin for 3rd on the back straightaway. He'll clear him into 3 and 4. Greg Biffle's rallied from 10th to 3rd in the final 19 laps. And Matt Kenseth is going to win dual race number 1 at Daytona. Martin's in the wall off turn 4, loses momentum behind Biffle. Roush Fenway Racing dominates the dual race at Daytona. Matt Kenseth will end up with the win. Second place is going to... we're not going to be able to see the running order, I guess. I don't know why I didn't show the finish. Jeremy Mayfield finished 2nd. Greg Biffle 3rd. Mark Martin ended up 4th. So, yeah, pretty good race, I thought. Last lap pass for the win in the dual race. This one because of fuel mileage. Kurt Busch ran out coming to the white flag, and Matt Kenseth steals the win. I think Kurt Busch is still starting in 11th, so he ended up cycling out in 6th. Waiting to see who finished 4th. I missed it the first couple times. Because whoever finished in 4th place would have won dual race number 2. And then I'll start the race. I'm not going to make any setup changes. Kevin Harvick qualified outside front row. Tony Stewart won dual race number 2. And Greg Biffle will be starting 7th then. Green flag is in the air. And here we go. The Daytona 500 is underway. Biffle already going 3 wide to the inside. Pretty good start. Just gets underneath his teammate Matt Kenseth. Carl Edwards in the leads. 3 wide for 2nd place right now. Kevin Harvick didn't take off well on the outside. I think the outside kind of stalled out initially. No room for Biffle to get up to that outside lane though. Couldn't carry the momentum off the exit of the corner. 3 wide behind Greg Biffle. Probably quite a ways deep in the field at that. Gained 2 spots off the start from 7th to 5th. Better than the dual race start. Of course, being in the inside lane versus the outside definitely helped, I'd have to assume. Lap 1 in the books in the Daytona 500. Carl Edwards, the rookie and the pole sitter, will lead lap 1. And can I win my first EA Sports Daytona points race in the Cup Series? Our 13th attempt to try and do so. Got to keep the car clean. A lot of teammates for Greg Biffle starting up towards the front of the field. That's going to help. Kenseth won the duel. Edwards on the pole. And Edwards still leads over Kevin Harvick, Kenseth, and Stewart. 4-car breakaway right now at the front. Tony Stewart might have grazed the wall off turn 4 just a bit. .47.415 that last lap for Greg Biffle. Yeah, Edwards was a rookie in 06. He won the championship as a rookie in our Do It for Dale Series season. Tony Stewart's struggling with this car right now. He got tight in line behind Kenseth. So Tony Stewart, who won dual race number 2, starting to lose the top 3 just a little bit. Greg Biffle with a lot of speed on the back straightaway, slightly pulling Mark Martin. He may be close enough to draft behind Stewart. It's really close. Pack is already split into 2. Drivers held up in almost a crash, it seemed. 47.286 that last lap for the Biff. I think his fastest lap in the duel was like a 47.056, I believe. He has caught Tony Stewart, though. Back straightaway, looking to the outside. Kind of grazed the wall. Still got by Stewart. That didn't cut his momentum down at all. And up to 4th is the Biff. .46.748 that last lap for Biffle, and that was even kind of scraping the wall. Gets by Kenseth on the front stretch. Gets by Harvick into turns 1 and 2, and Greg Biffle is already up to second in the Daytona 500 behind rookie teammate Carl Edwards. And Kenseth going underneath of Harvick, trying to get 1, 2, 3 at the front of the field right now. Greg Biffle is going to be patient. I have a different strategy for the 500. That strategy is I'm just going to draft behind the leader. I'm going to try to get 5 bonus points early on so I can at least lead a lap. But the strategy is just going to be to maintain in this pack and not be overly aggressive, especially as we're only on lap 5. They'll be looking for the lead in the tri-oval. Into turn 1, Greg Biffle from starting 7th in just 6 laps is out in front in the Daytona 500 as he clears Carl Edwards. And trying to stay out in front, at least back to the start-finish line so he can try to get 5 bonus points early on. Again, this is a season-long points format this time around. No chase like we had in our Do It for Dale Series season. Greg Biffle leads the Daytona 500 over his 2 teammates, followed by Kevin Harvick and Tony Stewart. And Biffle will receive those 5 bonus points for leading his first lap of the day. I'd say a good start. With the good start, we're going to take our first field pass. I'm going to really try to get through these as quickly as I can in the Daytona 500. More teammates this season as well. A lot of them up towards the front of the field right now. At the start-finish line this time, we will potentially swap to... You know what? I'll just swap to Carl Edwards. Means he's in second right now. Actually, I'll go to Kenseth because he's down on the inside. So we'll swap to Matt Kenseth in the 17 at the line. Biffle continues to lead. Kenseth... Oh, we have a caution. Off turn 4, a little bit further back in the pack. Caution's out for the first time in the Daytona 500 at lap 8. That did not take long, and it's Ryan Newman who wrecks off turn 4. Contact to look like with Martin Truex Jr. And Newman goes for a spin. Blew an engine at the end of the duel race in the final 10 laps while running 8th. Had to start at the back, aggressively trying to get his way forward early. A little too aggressive that time as him and Truex make contact off turn 4. And that is caution number 1. I would assume everybody will stay out of the pits. Only 8 laps in. We'll restart as Matt Kenseth as Greg Biffle still leads the Daytona 500. Edwards was a rookie in 04. Oh, sorry, 2005, not 06. That's what I meant. This is the 2005 season, not the 2006 season. This is NASCAR 06, so sorry if I had a little confusion there. This is the 2005 game. What a restart for Kenseth. Outside of Edwards, inside of Harvick. Harvick tried to side draft Kenseth. And in the process of trying to side draft him, he about turned Kenseth. Unless he was just trying to get to the inside between the 17 and the 99. I don't think that happened. That's going to allow Greg Biffle to get way ahead of the pack. As Kenseth's trying to block for second. I see the other Roush Fenway Fords. They're all on the bottom right now, all 4 of them. Plus race leader Greg Biffle, I guess, technically. Martin pulling out of line. Yeah, 2005 he was eligible for being a rookie. That was his first season in the Cup Series. You could say technically he was a rookie in 2004, but because he didn't run half the races, it wasn't actually his rookie season. 05 was his rookie season. This is NASCAR 06, but it's a 2005 game. Greg Biffle getting some laps landed in after all. I was just willing to stay in second. Might have to change the strategy because this 16 car is fast. He finished third in the duel race for a reason. Ends up getting a bit of air loose with Carl Edwards right behind him in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Ends up leading the pack as of right now that you see on the screen. We'll go to Kurt Busch in the 97 car next. Kurt Busch stuck on the outside lane currently. Jeez, everybody's going to the top. Getting sketchy. literally the entire drivers from second on back just went to the outside all of a sudden. Stalling Kurt Busch's momentum out just a little bit. Now they all go to the bottom of the racetrack. Kurt Busch is out of the gas. He's still out. He spins. I was out of the gas trying not to spin. I kind of got... I don't even know how I ended up down there, but... Kurt Busch saves it. Kurt Busch has saved it, and we're already at caution number 2 in the Daytona 500. Good thing he didn't slide back in traffic like the duel race. That was almost similar to what happened in the duel with Kurt. I was on the bottom, and it was very tightly compacted together, and then all of a sudden I kind of clipped the apron a little too long. Nobody hit anything, and Kurt Busch was able to save it in the grass, so we'll stay out of the pits here. And he lost a couple spots with the spin. And obviously his tires are probably going to be shot now, but get back into it. Green flag back in the air. Lap 18. Bump draft to the 31 car. With Jeff Burton off the start, that might stall Busch out just a little bit. Waltrip on the inside of the 97 of Kurt Busch. Busch holds on to the outside that time as Waltrip clears him, and now Busch will hop in line behind the 15. Greg Biffle continues to lead middle of the tri-oval. First lap after the restart. 2 cautions already in 18 laps in the Daytona 500. Ryan Newman, Mark Truex Jr. in caution 1. Kurt Busch, lazy spin. Nobody else involved for caution 2. Busch pulling out of line on Waltrip. Didn't have a great run on the back straightaway, but still pulls out of line. Side drafts Waltrip a bit on the back straightaway and makes the pass on him into turns 3 and 4 for 11. Busch is the only Roush Fenway Ford outside the top 10 in the 11th place position right now. But has a run in the tri-oval on the inside of Jeremy Mayfield. Mayfield tried to squeeze. Kurt Busch clipped the apron. Makes the pass, though, for 10th. Busch, though, back to the outside as Mayfield's looking to cross him over. Kurt's car is so much looser than everybody else's. His tires are definitely shot right now. It's well documented. Go one more lap with Kurt. Supposed to go 4 laps with Kenseth, so I will go 2 more laps with him again here at some point. It's up near the wall right now. Bump draft with Jeremy Mayfield. Another run though for Kurt, back straightaway, looking low on Mayfield. Gets underneath him. Oh, this is not going to work. That's going to... Oh, yep. Oh, jeez. He got the run on the inside of the 19. I don't know how that didn't end up resulting in a wreck. They're still trying to wreck. Hang on a minute. Okay, they made it. Back to Kenseth. Let's just say Kurt Busch is struggling in the early going of the Daytona 500. Greg Biffle running a smart, quick race pace, though, in the early going. I'll give him that. Dale Jarrett going to get by Mark Martin for position. Rusty Wallace trying to do the same. We'll go to Mark Martin next. Kenseth only 1.3 seconds off the race lead. Rusty Wallace's final ride. Because NASCAR 07 will be the next classic game playthrough. And Kurt Busch will be in that 2 car at Penske. Rusty Wallace will be retired. Martin with a run on Wallace. Squeezes down on the bottom of the track, makes the pass. Pretty closely behind the 88 of Dale Jarrett, but he'll make the pass on Wallace for 7th. Kevin Harvick starting to fall out of the lead draft with the top 3. Kenseth reeling him in along with Jarrett and Martin. Halfway on fuel. Couple cautions though in the early going, so we've had some drivers save a little bit of gas. Jarrett on the inside of Kenseth. Martin just really trying to stay intact with whoever's on the bottom, it seems, so he'll stay behind Jarrett. Couple former NASCAR champs remain side by side off turn 4. Kenseth dropping in line right in front of Martin. Hesitated. He had the room to do it. Then Martin got the run after the 17 pulled up out of the way, so Martin now in the 6 car up to 6th. I'm stunned that the poll on the chat right now is at 50-50 between Kyle Busch and Casey Kane after 40 votes. That's wild. Definitely be sure to vote if you haven't already. Martin makes a pass on Dale Jarrett for 5th. Remember, Mark Martin never won the Daytona 500. What a run it would be if he could do that today. The Roush cars have been strong. He's going to have a good shot to win as long as he can keep his car clean throughout. Of course, avoid the inevitable big one whenever that happens. Assuming it happens. Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards trying to draft together right now still, but Greg Biffle doing a great job pulling those guys. Martin only about 1.1 seconds off the lead now. Bump drafting Kevin Harvick pretty aggressively in the middle of the tri-oval. While he does that, we'll go to Greg Biffle. I didn't mean to go to Greg Biffle there. I meant to go to Carl Edwards. Switch back to Edwards on the back straightaway. Big run for Edwards on the inside of Tony Stewart. Stolen out though because there's no drafting help for the 99. Slow car up at the front of the field right now. Without any drafting help. Be in danger of going a lap down very soon. Edwards was battling alongside Stewart. He just couldn't get around him. By the way, Mark Martin's up to 4th. He got by Harvick. And he's closing in on the top 3. Somebody might have a shot to get around Biffle. Edwards, though, with a run on Stewart instead. To the outside goes Carl Edwards for 2nd, in line behind the Biff. What a move by Edwards, the rookie, up to 2nd. I can't tell for sure, but it looks like Ryan Newman is a slow car after being involved in that early accident. Maybe he's got more damage than what we initially thought. Edwards going to just try to keep Greg Biffle out in front for right now in the Daytona 500. So we are at lap 30. No, Edwards wasn't around in the 90s. Not in NASCAR, at least. Alright, so a chance for Greg Biffle. Try to pull out a line here, get by Ryan Newman, put him a lap down. He's going to get to the inside of the 12. Carl Edwards following the 16 as well. And Edwards gets by Ryan Newman. Good news is for Newman, he's the first car lap down, but obviously he's got some heavy damage after causing that first caution at lap 8 earlier in the day. Biffle and Edwards running the outside of the racetrack through turns 1 and 2. Edwards back down the track to try and block Tony Stewart in the 20. We'll go back to Biffle this time by at the start-finish line. Edwards going to give the Biff a big push on the back straightaway. Massive shot trying to get him out a little bit further. I'm drafting very risky with the Gen 4 cars, especially on the bumpier Daytona International Speedway circuit. Our first of 2, I guess technically 3 field passes because of the short ones in the dual race are up. So we're at lap 32. Greg Biffle has led a lot of laps. He's led every lap since taking the lead at lap 6. He took it away from Edwards, who led the first 5. Great job done so far for the 16 team. He's fast on his own, so with that being said, I'm just going to keep rotating through our different drivers right now. Might as well. It's working. At some point, we're going to have to run, obviously, with Biffle a little bit more, but right now, might not have to. Edwards alongside Greg Biffle. Edwards on the outside. Biffle with a block in front of the 99. It gets back down in front of Tony Stewart. Great move by Biffle. Holding on. Both on Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards. Stewart's got a run, though, on the back straightaway. Is Biffle going to have enough speed into turns 3 and 4 to hang on for the lead? Yes, he is. Three-car breakaway. Ryan Newman kind of holding everybody else back. Edwards trying to get back into second if he can get by Biffle. Or get by Stewart behind Biffle. Got around him on the outside the last time. Fakes high, goes low. Nothing doing. And he'll stay in line behind Stewart. Ran out of real estate there. Stewart's blocking Edwards pretty successfully so far. Edwards just gets down underneath Stewart that time. Roush Fenway Racing back up to running first and second. As Edwards clears Stewart for P2. A massive run on the back straightaway for the 99. As he closes on the 16, he's just going to lift to keep Biffle in the lead. Edwards already has his bonus points. Not looking at anything major here other than to keep the 16 out in front. We've got some cars on pit road for the first time at lap 35. Mark Martin on his way in. It looks like Matt Kenseth also on pit road for Roush Fenway. Edwards bump drafting Greg Biffle into turn 1. Let go, though, right before they got into the corner. A lot of cars in the pits. Going to be interesting to see who's going to cycle off of pit road with the lead. Greg Biffle going to stay out this time again. And we'll go to Kurt Busch in the 97 car, who's probably really struggling on old tires right now. He's in 5th place, but he did spin, and he's on those same tires still. These are the first pit stops of the race, by the way, for those of you maybe just tuning in or wondering. Right now, we're dual race at Daytona at the start of the stream. Had my fan off. It's been 85 degrees outside through all of it. Not the right time to start thinking about the heat, though. I'll get through it, hopefully. Might have to refill my water at some point, but for right now, I'm A-okay. We'll have 2 more laps with Kurt Busch, and we'll have to switch to either Mark Martin or Matt Kenseth next. They have already made their pit stops. The other 3 Roush Fenway Fords of Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle running 1, 2, and then Kurt Busch in 5th have not pitted yet. Kurt Busch is about 6 seconds behind his 2 teammates. A couple cars were side by side coming out of the pits, trying to fight for position on the apron of the racetrack as they get up to speed. Hopefully they can file it out going into turns 1 and 2. Some drivers on fresher tires starting to close in on Kurt Busch. Biffle and Edwards are in at the same time. Sacrifice the lead. And Kurt Busch appears to be the first driver to stay out of them. So 5 bonus points for Kurt Busch leading his first lap of the race. The only 3 leaders in the race so far have all been for Roush Fenway Racing, which is crazy. And we've got a caution. Caution is out. This is going to trap a lot of cars a lap down. Shane Meal is wrecked off turn 2. So Shane Meal is wrecked, and that will bring out a caution. Kenseth's already pitted. I think he was on the lead lap. So he'll be one of the benefactors of the caution, and a good caution for Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle, because I don't think they had gone a lap down. Kenseth's going to restart in 3rd. Green flag back in the air in the Daytona 500. Dale Jarrett will lead the field to the green following our 3rd yellow after Shane Meal is wrecked. Kenseth trying to squeeze right now. 4 wide on the restart going into turns 1 and 2. Kenseth fights for it. Wasn't much of a hole to go 4 wide, but he tried it. Jarrett going to hold on to the lead, but Kenseth up to 2nd. About had a wreck. That's about as aggressive of a restart as you could possibly get. I got edgy. Guys on fresh tires. I'm sure that everybody who didn't pit yet was on pit road right then and there. Dale Jarrett leads the Daytona 500. Kenseth, who's had a great car throughout speed weeks, will fall back to third at the hands of Kevin Harvick in turns 1 and 2. Shane Meal wrecking. I thought it was off turn 2 at first, but I think it was going into turn 1 where Shane Meal wrecked. But either way, that was caution number 3 so far this afternoon in the Great American Race. Oh, with Biffle not up here right now, I guess we try to get Matt Kenseth to the lead. Biffle has cycled backwards because of the timing of the caution in the middle of green flag stops after Shane Meal spun. Kenseth with a run under Harvick. Still has a run into 3 under Jarrett. Jarrett with a big block that time. That really stalled out the 17. It's a massive block by Dale Jarrett in the 88 to hold on to the lead in 3 and 4. One more lap and then we'll go to Mark Martin the following lap. Kenseth's got to run in the tri-oval. Jarrett with a block again and about turned himself. Kenseth paying him back as he rubs alongside Jarrett after Jarrett threw a bad block not once but twice. That's going to force Jarrett out of line, and Matt Kenseth's going to get to the lead. Kenseth has not led yet in today's race, so he's trying to get 5 bonus points if he can lead this time by. Biffle's led the most so far. Again, that's who we're racing as. Not only in the Daytona 500, but for this season. Trying to get Biffle his first championship in this 2005 season. He did have a top 3 points paying finish. Harvick to P2 getting around Dale Jarrett. Kenseth will lead back to the start-finish line off turn 4. And Kenseth, after winning dual race number 1, is going to lead his first lap of the day at lap 47. And we'll go back to Mark Martin in the 6 right now. Whoops. Oh, man, up in the marbles is Martin. Jeremy Mayfield getting by. Johnson getting by. Martin's in 6th. He's still in the top 10 yet. I think I see Biffle just a couple spots behind these guys. Jimmy Johnson down low looking for a pass. On Jeremy Mayfield. He's got it. Johnson moving his way through the field in the 48 for Hendrick Motorsports. Martin gets by Mayfield. I think Mayfield's a lap down. That wasn't for a spot. Martin's still in 6th. Three more laps, so we'll go back to the bip and we'll see where we're actually running in the Daytona 500 right now. Somewhere mid-pack. Comment in the chat down below, even if we can't get the win with Greg Biffle, will one of these Roush Fenway Fords get the win, considering they all started in the top dozen and they're all seemingly still up there, if not leading laps? No 9. Roush Fenway Ford has led today. Kenseth is leading now. Kurt Busch led when the caution came out. Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle dominated the first part of the race, with Biffle leading the most and Edwards leading the first 5 laps from the pole. The only the only driver at Roush that hasn't led is Mark Martin, who is in 6th. As we have had 4 different leaders, but it has been all Roush Fenway, all speed weeks As Edwards qualified on the pole as well. Kenseth won the dual race, and all 5 were in that first dual race as well, and all finished inside the top 10. Out of the 22 car field, and 20 of them that finished, of course. Martin pulling out of line. Johnson checked up just for a brief moment, but Jimmy's still going to be able to pull a block. One car goes wide into the wall. Can't tell who that is. Joe Nemechek in the 0-1 got up into the wall. He's a lap down. The lap cars lined up on the inside of the lead lap cars on the restart. Martin with a run on the back straightaway to the inside of Jimmy Johnson for 5th. Quickly to the inside of the 40 of Marlin for 4th. Look at the run Mark Martin's got. Johnson to the inside of Marlin, following the current NASCAR Hall of Famer. How about Mark Martin? Trying to win his first career Daytona 500. Harvick getting tight. He goes wide. Jarrett will go to the outside, though, behind him. Harvick down low, though, on the inside of Matt Kenseth. Massive run coming from Mark Martin. Jarrett trying to help. The 29 now goes back in line behind the 17. The 6 up high behind the 88 as well. Harvick still side by side. He's trying to lead his first lap of the day, and I think he'll be able to do so at the line. Martin closing in. Greg Biffle in 7th right now in the 16 car. And our second field pass is out of the way now in today's race. We'll have one more still to go. 3 wide for 2nd behind Harvick. Now they're down to side by side. Biffle kind of in no man's land. There's nobody anywhere around him currently. He's in the top 10 still, though. Stefan Rizzuto, thanks for tuning in 16 years later. See, it wasn't the only one getting held loose off turn 2 and turn 4. No, the exit of the corners on this game are really hard. At Daytona especially, but the handling on NASCAR 06, it's a lot more slippery than 05, which was our last classic game played through. Then NASCAR Thunder 04, it's probably more similar to that, but I still felt more planted to the track in 04 than 06. This is honestly, in my personal opinion, the hardest of the games as far as trying to keep control of your car. I will say at some tracks, like the short tracks are easier on this game. I'd say the road courses are easier on this game than Thunder 04. But the intermediates and the super speedways are a lot harder on this game. That's probably why I've only won 1 intermediate racetrack and 1 super speedway at Talladega. It's difficult. I'm more planted at Talladega than Daytona, even though... Oh, we got a big wreck! Big wreck! Back down! 1 car sliding around, almost on his lid. And we've got a caution for the 4th time today. It wasn't the big one, but a wild ride. And I think it was Mark Martin who came back. Oh no, it was Jimmy Johnson. Johnson upside down at Daytona in the 500. He got loose on his own, smacked the wall in 4, came back across Sterling Marlin, and then ended upside down in the grass in the infield in 3 and 4. So again, caution flag is out for the 4th time in the Daytona 500 in 52 laps. Not the big one, but a flip from Jimmy Johnson. That was a wild ride for him. He was all over the place. That actually looks somewhat realistic. Lost it. Green flag back in the air. Harvick in the lead on the restart. Greg Biffle trying to get down to the bottom. Give the 36 a little shot. Oh, little contact. Harvick got shuffled out of line at the front of the field. That's a good restart for Biffle. He only gained 1 spot, but he got around a lot of lappers. There's still 3 wide up towards the front. It is getting racy inside the top 5. Kenseth down to the bottom. Jimmy Johnson, who just flipped, is still in it. Sterling Marlin's got a lot of damage. He's probably going to shed some debris sometime soon. So with that being said, that's probably why some of these drivers are being extra aggressive at the front of the field right now, trying to get their track position. Biffle going all the way to the inside. 3x3 up at the front of the field. Martin might have been in the wall just a little bit. There's a little contact between Kenseth and Biffle. Biffle's up against the wall now. Got a little tight into the corner. Saw the contact ahead, and that made me make a mistake. I lost my focus. Tough break there for Biffle. Driver error on that one. He's in 7th, right where he restarted initially, though, and he's right in front of Jeff Gordon. Caution. Likely for debris and likely from Sterling Marlin. Like Scott Wimmer's flipping 05. It honestly did look like it. This is the same season, too. It's the same race. Scott Wimmer had that flip. That did look like it, though. That was a good comparison. Only that was towards the end of the race. So Marlin's hood came off. That is already our 5th caution of the Daytona 500. Does anybody know what the most cautions in a Daytona 500 is? You know what? That'll be tonight's trivia question at the halfway mark. Because I don't even know the answer. I'll have to look it up. That's just a hint. I saw everybody pit. Greg Biffle's going to stay out to gain the track position and hang on to the lead. This is an interesting strategy call from the Biff. But he is out in front. Green flag back in the air. Lap 63 in the Daytona 500. Lap car just got in front of Biffle on the restart. But Biffle's able to get to the bottom quickly and cross Casey Kane over. I think he was just slow out of first gear. But he powers back through it pretty quickly. And overall, a solid restart for Greg Biffle. Field bunched together again. Biffle again back in the lead in the Daytona 500 for the second different time this afternoon. We've had a lot. Great racing throughout the dual race and now in the 500. We saw a flip in the dual race with a big one. We haven't seen the big one in the 500, but we saw a flip from Johnson a couple cautions ago. Our first debris yellow from Sterling Marlin. Oh, and now Mayfield is in the wall. Contact with his teammate Casey Kane. That's going to stack up everybody behind Biffle. And Biffle's going to pull away. We'll alternate through the different camera angles for the first time today. With that being said, Mayfield about crashed there. The whole field got stacked up behind him. Biffle's about 1.7 seconds ahead of second now. Well, that helps. Problem is they're in a pack still, and Greg Biffle has no drafting help, so. A lot of cars lap down because we did have a caution in the middle of green flag pit stops right around lap 40. Shane Meals spun earlier in the race. I'm not going to doubt that Jimmy Johnson's going to have some sort of debris after his wreck earlier, too. Wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Halfway on fuel right now for Biffle. Field pitted during that last caution. Biffle stayed out. It's worked for him since the restart. Had a great restart. He's holding on to the lead. 3 wide for second. A little bit further behind. And the pack is starting to run down to 16 as he got a little too far ahead all by himself in the National Guard Ford. A lot of cars that are trying to lead that pack back to the 16 at Biffle. Biffle may get hung out to dry. Oh, trouble! No, never mind. Gordon's around. He almost blew over. Caution's out. He came back down on all 4. The rear tires came up off the ground for a second. 3 wide off turn 4. Jeff Gordon, Mike Bliss, Kyle Petty. Kenseth got a piece of Gordon's race car. Our 6th caution. Watch Gordon's rear tires come up off the ground slightly. Whoop, just a little bit. It was very, very little, but the roof flaps did its job, kept the 24 on the ground. And, well, Biffle's just going to stay out again. And we're going to have another restart at Daytona. This is turning into a caution fest already, and Biffle's been a part of none of it. Good for us. Green flag back in the air in the Daytona 500. Another great launch. Kyle Petty slid up in front of Jeff Gordon on the outside lane. Mike Bliss to the inside of the 45. Great restart, though, for Greg Biffle. That wasn't the big one either. It could have been. Right in front of the pack. Only 4 cars were involved. Gordon with a run back straightaway. Biffle with a block down to the inside on the 24. Field still getting up to speed into turns 3 and 4. Lap 70 on the restart. Mike Bliss going to get back on the lead lap in the 0. They're 7th in points after making the chase. In our Do It for Dale Series season. Biffle slides up, clear of Kyle Petty into the corner. He's trying to draft off the 0 of Mike Bliss. Give himself a little drafting help. Problem is he's in dirty air now. Massive run back straightaway, 198 miles an hour into 3 and 4. And Biffle had to lift just to keep his car from wanting to push all the way near the wall. What I think about the round 1 eliminations? Well, I'm shocked Kyle Busch is eliminated because I thought Bristol being a good racetrack for him that he was going to be able to make it to the next round. Not only coming into the round, but even when he was 2 points below the cutoff line going into the night. But then the problems we saw with the Toyotas with power steering issues and engine issues throughout the course of the race that, you know, I was kind of hesitant going into that final stage if Busch, Hamlin, and Bell were going to make it to the end. And Busch was the next one to detonate an engine, unfortunately. Lions up 22-0. Wow. Good for the Lions. 46.861 that last lap for Biffle. It was his fastest lap of the race as he sits in the draft right behind the 0 of Mike Bliss. I think Bliss is trying to block Biffle because he doesn't want to go a lap down in case we get another caution. But at the same time, Biffle's willing to work with the 0 for now at least. Kevin Harvick's into second, getting by Jeff Gordon. Biffle may have to consider maybe trying to get around Bliss here at some point in time. Harvick starts to put too much pressure on the 16. Bliss keeps going to the outside. Biffle gets the run on the back straightaway, but he's not willing to pull out of line. He's ran a patient 73 laps. It's worked out for him. He's led the most. He's led a couple different times in today's race, but finds himself in the lead again. Can't wait for Texas. Thanks for tuning in. Bliss went up high. Biffle down low. That was kind of unintentional, though. It's 29 of Harvick. Biffle just kind of mirror driving off turn 2 to stay in front of the 16, or in front of the 29. Remember, Biffle's got older tires than these guys, so he might not have as much grip as a result. He did not pit 2 cautions ago during the 6th yellow. Or sorry, he did not pit 2 cautions ago during the 5th yellow, which was the debris caution. Scraping the wall off turn 4. Nothing major, though, for the Biff. Keeps the momentum up in the tri-oval, though. Right behind Mike Bliss. Kind of riding the brakes a little bit. It's going to cost him some momentum. Had to keep it off the wall. Mike Bliss running the outside, and Kevin Harvick's going to get to the lead because of Biffle having to check up in the dirty air. One car blowing up on the bottom of the racetrack, and it's the 22 of Scott Wimmer. Greg Biffle, the aggressive move, trying to get back by the 29 of Harvick. Biffle holding on to the bottom lane. Bliss on the outside. Harvick is there with him. Harvick holds on. Gordon now up high. Biffle with a block. Holds on to second. Top three getting after it. Biffle with a run into 1 and 2. Underneath Harvick for the lead. 3 wide. Harvick pulled out of line simultaneously on Bliss. Gordon helping the 16 down low. 29 up high right now behind Bliss. Biffle on the inside of the 0 car into turns 3 and 4. Jeff Gordon in the 24 all over the back of the 16 car, still looking for that race lead. Gordon has not led today. Harvick's only led a couple laps. Harvick now to the outside in front of Harvick. Harvick to the bottom. At the start-finish line, Gordon will lead that lap by inches over Greg Biffle. 5 bonus points for the 24, leading his first lap in the Daytona 500. Seen our wrecks at times today, but it had a lot of good racing. Boo Lions. I'm not a Lions fan. I'm saying good for the Lions because they, franchise-wise, they haven't been great in a long time, or good in a long time. And because I'm a Detroit fan for other sports, the Lions are the one team in the division that I don't, despise or anything of that nature when it comes to being a Packers fan. So now Jeff Gordon's leading the Daytona 500. Greg Biffle sitting in second place right behind him, just kind of share drafted for right now. Again, just being very smart in this race. Just wants to have himself in contention in the final laps. Something I really haven't been able to do, which is why I haven't won at Daytona. I've gotten good finishes at times, but never right up battling for the lead at the end. Well, I will say the Packers are off to a slow start this year. Trivia questions always at the halfway mark, which would be lap 100 of 200 in our Daytona 500. Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle pulling away from the pack right now. Never would have thought Roush Fenway Ford would be working as well together with a Hendrick Chevy in 2005, but that's the case in the 500 right now. Jeff Gordon won the Daytona 500 in real life in 2005. And trying to win it in the video game today. 25 likes on the stream so far. Let's try to get to 50 by the end of it. We're not quite halfway done yet. We're on pace. Trying to get to 50 likes on our Daytona 500 on NASCAR 06. It's a custom schedule season today. Different pit strategy for Biffle. He stayed out during the 5th caution. Nobody pitted during the 6th yellow. It's kind of why we're at where we're at right now. Biffle not going to be able to go an extremely long time before he has to pit as far as fuel goes. $120 laps to go. He's within range to make it on 3 stops from here to the end, and he's potentially in range, obviously, with the cautions to just make this Daytona 500 a 4 pit stop race. Pitted for 4 tires on fuel the first time. He's going to have to stay on the lead lap, though, the way the cautions have played out so far. So it's going to be interesting to see. Jeez, Gordon in the wall and Biffle. Gordon went to the outside. Biffle got tight. Right in line behind him. 29 car Kevin Harvick's closing in. Biffle lost his momentum off the exit of the corner with that. And so he'll drop in line behind Harvick and fall back to third. The tires are getting old, so it's a lot harder to run the outside. Biffle hasn't been too comfortable running the outside with the car underneath him. Nobody underneath him that time, just made a mistake on the old tires. Still led the most laps up to this point. Harvick and Biffle about a second and a half behind Jeff Gordon. Fuel tank in the red on the indicator on the lower left-hand corner of the screen. Biffle trying to go as far as he can before pitting. Can't blame him for that. Good chance he's going to pit this time by, though. Not wanting to risk running out of gas. So Greg Biffle is going to pit this time by. Had a practice pit stop in practice itself. He didn't lock the tires up in it. Trying to do the same here. 4 tires and fuel for the 16. On his way in. Does not lock the tires, so he could choose to maybe go right sides only here, which will be the call. So a 2-tire stop to try to keep Biffle on the lead lap. They'll top off, no adjustments. So a 4-tire stop under the first green flag stop of the day for Biffle. Biffle on the off strategy sequence now, though, going to go with 2 tires under his second stop, which is also under green flag conditions. He had a lucky break when the caution came out as he was exiting pit road last time, so he wasn't close to going a lap down, so the 4 tires worked out. Again, though, a little different in this circumstance right now. He's asking a lot out of the left side tires at a bumpy Daytona International Speedway. Biffle currently in 27th. And he's not going to have any drafting help. Caution comes out, though. He could stay out of the pits, and he'll be right back at the front of the field again. His left sides are going to be well older than everybody else's, though. See how it works? He hasn't had really a loose car at all today, so hopefully the 2 tires is, again, going to pan out for him. We'll find out in another 30 to 40 laps what the grip level is going to be like. Can't imagine he's going to be running by himself this whole run. For right now, it's not going to be bad at all. At least you wouldn't think. 41.1 seconds off the lead. Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick at the front of the field in the Daytona 500. It's as far back as Biffle's been in the running order in 27th. Making his pit stop. The rest of the field pitted before lap 60 during that 5th caution, so we're probably looking at them pitting in the next, if I had to guess, 15 to 20 laps. We'll just have to see if Biffle's going to be able to actually cycle out in front. By the way, Jeff Gordon, I don't know what's going on, but Greg Biffle's running some faster laps on the 24 car last lap or so. Leads down to 39.8 seconds all of a sudden. And still dropping. What is happening to the 24 of Jeff Gordon? I'm shocked considering Biffle took just right sides and he's still faster. Gordon Harvick maybe battling a lot harder with each other as well. So the rest of the pack catches up to him though. It was just a 2-car breakaway. The rest of the pack catches up to Gordon and Harvick. And Biffle's not going to be running that much faster than them anymore, and they're going to start to close in on the 16. I think this is around the longest green flag run of the race. Yeah, we had 6 cautions in the first 60-something laps. Gone a little over 20 laps caution-free so far. We haven't cycled all the way through a session of green flag stops in the race, so it goes to show we haven't had a super long green flag run because of that, but may do it this time, potentially, if things stay the way they are right now. This 16 car's definitely got some speed. In fact, he took 2 right side tires. He's still running well for himself, all by himself. Didn't have great single car speed at qualifying, but his teammates did. Edwards qualified on the pole for a reason. I think at the end of this race, a Roush Fenway Ford will win this race. I can almost guarantee it. We just don't know exactly which one. In the race, Biffle's been better. In the duels, Edwards seemed to have the best. Obviously qualified in the lead. Biffle probably led 20 to 30 laps in his duel race as well. Ten laps away from the halfway mark in the Daytona 500 this afternoon. Greg Biffle's done a masterful job at the front of the field. I know he's in 27th right now, but he just pitted for right side tires not that long ago. He's able to cycle ahead pretty well, and he's still running some decent laps along with it. I don't think we've seen the last caution. I don't think we're going to run the rest of this race about the final 130 plus laps green flag to the finish. For having 6 as early as we did. It is the Daytona 500. It is a war of attrition. And that seems to be the case so far. Even though this is the most mellow things have been all race long. Even if you include the dual race, probably a little bit more yellow than that. Mellow than that. So that being a 60-lap sprint race, that might have been some of the reason why. Makes this race a lot longer. These drivers have seen their fair share of accidents. Trying to not make those same mistakes again. Those left side tires haven't even hit the yellow yet for Greg Biffle as well. Things are going well for him. I'd imagine Jeff Gordon's probably blocking for his life at the front of the field. At least it's a lot more calm where Greg Biffle's at as well. Allows him to just run more laps in this race without any heavy pressure around him to not make a mistake. And again, the reason he was able to take right sides only, he didn't lock the tires coming into the pits. Great job getting into the pit lane, even while running in third at the time when it happened. And it looks like Kurt Busch is on his way to pit road right now. And we've got some of the other leaders also coming in. So green flag pit stops starting up. A couple cars actually pitted that last lap. Biffle was able to cycle around on the racetrack. That's why he moved up 2 spots to 25th. And we're going to be constantly seeing some cars hit pit road for green flag stops all of a sudden. Back inside the top 5, a lot of the lap cars probably pit that last time. And only 27 cars on the lead lap. Mark Martin is now on his way in, leaving Edwards and Kenseth as the only 2 Roush Fenway Fords that still have to pit. And Edwards is back in the lead. In fact, Jeff Gordon has pitted from the lead now. Second different time Edwards has led this afternoon. Sunday doubleheader on the channel with the duel in the 500. The way things are looking right now, Greg Biffle going for just a little Sunday drive. Up to 14th. 13 cars ahead of him still have to pit. Some lap cars mixed in with that as well. And Edwards is on his way in. So is Matt Kenseth. Kevin Harvick back to the lead. Only 6 different leaders in the Daytona 500, almost halfway home. Track position has definitely mattered. Biffle now up to P8. .29 seconds behind the 29 car at the front of the field. Edwards has just cycled off pit road again, as well as Matt Kenseth. 2 laps away from the halfway mark. In this afternoon's Daytona 500, we're cycling through green flag pit stops. Top 6 in front of Biffle still have to pit. Biffle went right sides only. And also pitted well before everybody else. But now they're going to have 4 fresh tires to try to run the 16 car back down. Plus, obviously, they have drafting help. Biffle does not. Harvick pits from the lead. Will lead that lap on pit road as well. And Greg Biffle will be the leader the following time by at the start-finish line when they come to get lap 100. So Greg Biffle cycled back out in front of the Daytona 500 with his 2-tire pit stop. He was in third when the pit stop started. Left rear tires in the yellow on the tire wear indicator right now. Good news is he's not really battling around anybody again, so don't have to worry about the tire fall-off being overly drastic. One more field pass in today's race yet. We'll have that in a couple laps. This one will start it. About a 10.5 second lead for Greg Biffle over second place. Whoever it is that is in second. Gordon was the leader when green flag pit stop started, so it may be Jeff Gordon in second place, it may be not. We won't know. We'll be halfway home at the start-finish line this time by. Time for today's trivia question on the channel. The question is, in what year did the Daytona 500 have more cautions than any other? So you have to name the year that had the most cautions in the Daytona 500. That is tonight's trivia question on the channel. I'll pause it when I get to the front stretch real quick, so that way I can pause it for a quick second, because I do not know the answer to the question. 2021. Let's see. Oh, went to the wrong thing. Go on to Racing Reference, and I will look. I do not know the answer. But you get unlimited tries in the chat. It is not 2021. I will say that much. So again, not 2021. I do have the answer, though, by the way. Isaiah says 2011, and it is 2011. You are correct. So Isaiah Z has gotten tonight's trivia question correct. 2011 was the year that had the most cautions in the Daytona 500. There were 16 cautions in the race for 60 caution laps. And, of course, Cinderella story, Trevor Bayne won the Daytona 500. In overtime, 520 miles was the scheduled not the scheduled distance, but the actual distance to the end of that race. So halfway home. That was our trivia question tonight. Sizey got it correct first. Didn't have to guess how many cautions there were. But yeah, 16 cautions. 2011. 2021 had just 7. Yeah, Michael Turner, you did say 2011 too. On my screen, SISE got it first. We'll go through our final field pass of the race today. We'll swap to Matt Kenseth in the 17. And Kenseth is currently in 9th, about to lose a spot to Tony Stewart, fall back to 10th. So Biffle on those 2 tires with his current pit strategy, all by himself. He'll take the chance now to have some pack racing once again. This is Daytona after all. Kenseth gets by Stewart again, back for 9th place. Oh, Harvick got tight going into 3 and 4, moved off the bottom. Kenseth was getting ready to lift as he closed behind the 29. He didn't have to lift. Kept the momentum up and now drives in line behind his teammate Mark Martin in 8th. As he clears Harvick off turn 4. How about Mark Martin tonight, ladies and gentlemen? What a run for the 6. Kenseth had a run on the 6. He's lifting as he pulled out of line. Now he'll pull back in line. But with lifting, here comes the 29 of Harvick looking down to the inside now. Kenseth did not want to try to pass the 6 there. Would have gotten in front of him, and I don't know that he would have caught the 3 cars that are up ahead of him. I think he was quite close enough in the draft yet at the time. Longest green flag run of the day, though. Almost 50 laps into the run all of a sudden. Well, about 40. About 40 laps into the green flag run. I don't think we're going to break the Daytona 500 record with 16 cautions today. We could get 10 in the final 90 laps, though. I guess you never know. Knowing this game, anything's possible. Kenseth going to pull out a line now on Mark Martin. He'll make the pass on his teammate for 7th. Pulling into the corner behind the 42 of Jamie McMurray. And he'll draft behind McMurray. Truex in the 1 car just up ahead as well for DEI. Good run for him. Kenseth to the inside of McMurray in the tri-oval. McMurray's a spot. Great run for Jamie Mack so far. Chip Ganassi Racing. His first tenure at the organization. Kenseth now behind Truex. Kenseth just going to sit behind the 1 car for the moment. How about, though, the rookie in the Daytona 500, Martin Truex Jr., showing out in the top 5 in his first start in the Great American Race. He is A-okay with that, I'm sure. Drafting behind Truex. Truex wanting to go to the outside in 1 and 2. Kenseth's going to try to pass him on the back straightaway this time. Feels he may be close enough to Kurt Busch in the 97 to catch him into turns 3 and 4 in the draft. Kenseth pulling out of line the 1. Thought about throwing a block. Didn't do it. Couldn't get down quick enough. Kenseth up to 4th. Drafts behind his teammate Kurt Busch into turns 3 and 4. So at least 3 Roush Fenway Fords in the top 5 with Biffle in the lead, Kurt Busch in 4th, and Matt Kenseth is in 5th, rounding out the top 5. And we'll go to Mark Martin with the next field pass in the race today, as Martin sits currently in the 9th place position. As we just saw moments ago. Kenseth went tight up the hill, almost into the wall. Loses a bit of ground to Busch. Martin not quite close enough behind Jamie McMurray in the 42 car yet. Kurt Busch had that lazy spin earlier, but no contact with it, so all the Roush cars have just had a clean day overall. Martin's going to let Stewart go in the tri-oval now, realizing that he's kind of losing that 5-car group ahead. Tony Stewart really crowding the 6 as he makes the pass for 9th. Martin was as high as 4th place at one point. That was right before the Jimmy Johnson flip. Like waking up seeing what's happening after I fall asleep. I appreciate it though. It's like a real NASCAR race. Especially back in this day without stages or anything. It's about what life was like in 2005. Hopefully you stay awake though, as now we're down to just 92 laps to go in the Daytona 500. Greg Biffle's done his job. He's dominated the race so far. May have the fastest car in the field. Can this finally be not only the Daytona 500, but the Daytona Cup race that could potentially win points paying? I'd rather it be the 500. It's looking like that could be the case. one more lap with Martin, and then we have Kurt Busch for 4 laps, Carl Edwards for 4 more, and we'll go back to Biffle the rest of the way. Yeah, he's not sleep texting. I went to bed last night, and right as I was trying to go to bed, I guess I fell asleep with my light on somehow, and I don't know how that happened. But it did. And I ended up waking up at like 4:30, and I like turned the light off and just pulled back in the covers. I'm like, why did I keep my light on? Like, it was really odd. Martin pulling out of line, back straightaway to make a pass. Oh, Greg Biffle's just blown a motor from the lead! Oh my goodness! Greg Biffle has blown an engine from the lead in the Daytona 500. Unbelievable. Dominated this race through the first half. Didn't mean to go to Kenseth there. That is unbelievable. Edwards just coming out of the pits randomly. Go to the 97 of Kurt Busch, who is in the second place position now. I cannot believe, right as I was just talking about, this could be the first. It is not. I'm in shock. Still have 89 laps to go. We're still going to run to the end of the race. That's going to give the lead to Gordon. He was so far ahead, too, on the 2-tire strategy. I don't even know what driver I want to finish as. We're still going to... I'm going to go back to Carl Edwards next. Well, the job is to get one of these Roush cars to victory lane, but I don't even know who to finish as at this point. My mind is... I mean, that's a terrible way to start the year. Again, this is a season-long points format, so Biffle blowing an engine, one of the first cars out of the race. I mean, his chances of the championship, too, you got to think of. Idea enough, 4 times with Dale Jr. in our Do It For Dale series, lost the title, finished 6th in points with that. Biffle's already blown up once in the first race. I cannot believe we blew an engine. I knew the car was fast. It was too fast. Yeah, I didn't see him until I literally saw him at the bottom of the racetrack, and then I looked over. I'm like, wait, that's Biffle? No, it's not. And I looked, and I saw the red X. I'm like, it's Biffle. No. So Carl Edwards made an unscheduled stop randomly. Well, the Daytona streak is 0 for 13. Even if we win with a teammate, it's not going to count. The win for myself, 0 for 13 at Daytona on the NASCAR EA Sports games. That is unbelievable. Or Do It For The Biff series. And I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. 90 to go, leading, blowing an engine. I can't catch a break at Daytona. It's just unbelievable. Kenseth and Busch are slowly closing in on Gordon, who now has a big 2-second race lead. So these Roush Fenway Fords drafting together. We'll swap to the 99 of Carl Edwards next. Over a 50-lap green flag run so far. The longest green flag run of the race. We've had 6 cautions so far. I have been none of them. And yet, we're still out with an engine failure. You also wonder, though, how fast all the Roush Fenway Fords have been. Is there a chance that maybe we'll see more of the Roush Fenway Fords blow motors in today's race? Not going to doubt it. Oh, Kurt Busch went low all of a sudden, too. Something happened to the 97 of Busch after we swapped to Edwards, and now Kurt Busch is slow. And trying to make his way on the racetrack. Kurt was in 3rd. Edwards in 11th. I think Kurt Busch just blew a motor because he is very slow. We swapped out of Kurt Busch and then he blows an engine. This is unbelievable. Kurt Busch and Greg Biffle have both blown engines in about the last 6 or 7 laps, I believe. Nope, Edwards is back up and running again. I don't know what happened there. Maybe he's down a cylinder. Edwards passes Sadler to get back in the top 10. Nemechek squeezes Edwards, but Edwards just got underneath the 0-1. Edwards behind the 19 of Mayfield in 9th. Man, almost up in the wall. Tight in the dirty air behind Mayfield right now. Halfway on field during the run. Big run in the tri-oval for Edwards to the inside of Mayfield. Contact. And now drafting behind Martin in 8th place is Edwards. So there's a couple different stories I'm thinking about. It either tried to win the Daytona 500 as a rookie with Carl Edwards, which would be insane if we could do that. Or we tried to give Mark Martin his first career Daytona 500 win with Biffle blowing an engine. There'll be no more driver swaps after I get away from Edwards unless I decide to finish as him. And swap to somebody else for a short period of time. I'm thinking about going with Mark Martin though. I think the goal now, get Mark Martin his first career Daytona 500 he never got. Let me know in the chat, but I think that's going to be the game plan. I think we're going to drive as Martin the rest of the race. Martin and Edwards working together right now in the top 8. Kenseth all by himself, doesn't have any drafting help to try to run down the 24 of Gordon anymore. We'll go one more lap with Edwards this time by, and then we'll swap with Martin for the rest of the going. 81 laps left in the Daytona 500. Best chances Kenseth in second. That is true. But I would like to get Mark Martin a Daytona 500 victory. I think that'd be really cool. Oh, we got another car blowing up in the top 5. What is going on? Engine failures all... I mean, this is like Bristol last night. Oh, and he pulls back up in front of the field. Onto the apron. Around in the grass. Oh, Tony Stewart. No, it was Truex. It wasn't Stewart. It was Truex. Martin got shuffled out of line after contact from Carl Edwards. I keep saying Tony Stewart. It was Martin Truex Jr. and the one who blew an engine and was down in the grass, came back across the racetrack. Somehow wasn't a caution. 80 to go at the line. That stalled Mark Martin out right in front of the pack. Truex, he lost it. I think he had oil on his tires. Martin is in 7th. That's who we're going to race as the rest of the race. Trying to get Mark Martin his first career Daytona 500. Martin Truex Jr. blows an engine. Remember, his teammate Dale Jr. blew an engine in the duel race. Caution. Something has happened somewhere else in the field. Yellow flag is out for the 7th time today after our longest green flag run of the race. Oh my goodness. Boris said the 141 cars were slow off turn 4. I think it was Truex slowing the field up. He was stuck on the outside and then they just kind of piled into him off turn 4. I don't know who said hit initially, but looks like a 3-car accident causing caution number 7 in tonight's Daytona 500. Mark Martin will pit. We'll see if anybody else pits as well. Martin is going to come in. Everybody else is staying out. Oh, boy. 4 tires and fuel for Martin in the 6. He'll top off. What a crazy second half of the Daytona 500 today. Well, again, what a crazy Daytona 500 it has been. Martin's going to go to the back, and he's going to have to do this the hard way if he's going to want to win the Daytona 500 now. Green flag back in the air. It's going to be in 25th. 76 laps to go in the Daytona 500 following our 7th caution of the event. Good restart initially for Martin. He does have a teammate, Kurt Busch, back here. Kurt Busch outside the top 20. He was in 3rd. Biffle was leading, blew an engine. Truex was top 5, blew an engine. I think he would have been in 4th. Martin gets 1 spot. First half of a lap after the restart. Oh, they're checking up into 3. And they are 3 by 3. We haven't had the big one yet. Our biggest wreck has been a 4-car accident off turn 4. Well, they made it. Mark Martin does have fresher tires than everybody else, too, so he could probably attack. Oh, caution. Well, never mind. Our 8th of the race, debris. Oh, and I think Martin blew a tire. Martin ran over the piece of debris that came off of, I believe, Kyle Petty's number 45 car. Oh, that is unbelievable. Martin lost all of his track position. Now he's going to have to pit again as he has just blown a tire. I think he did. He might not have. But I think he's going to have to pit just to make sure, because I think Martin might have a tire down after running over the debris. Which is going to stink if everybody else pits now. He's going to lose the track position for nothing, but it looks like they will stay out again. Martin again will hit pit road for what is now his 4th time today. Might as well just take 4 tires and top off on fuel again while you're already down here having to change the right sides. Crazy Daytona 500 so far. 26 likes. Be sure to hit the like button. Again, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We are trying to win Mark Martin's first career Daytona 500 now and make history with that. And the reason why is because Greg Biffle blew an engine while leading with about 90 laps to go in the race. And Truex blew an engine from 4th. A couple laps after, Kurt Busch dropped way back all of a sudden in 23rd. Oh, here we go. Green flag back in the air. Yeah, the fuel indicator was in the green, but Martin's alright with topping off, though, to a certain extent, because there's 71 laps to go. He could make this race on 1 more stop, potentially. And it'll depend on when the rest of the field has to pit again, but they may have to pit twice yet. Martin never won a Daytona 500. Maybe the best way is on fuel strategy. First half a lap after the restart hasn't gained a position. A lot of 2 and 3 wide racing again. Will they make it off turn 4? Martin's on the bottom. He doesn't feel comfortable running the middle to upper groove right now. They're kind of checking up just a bit. This is sketchy. This is the first time we've seen anybody mid-backpack right now out of the Roush Fenway Fords. Obviously, Biffle was leading a large portion of the race. Not the case after the engine failure. Contact up ahead. Martin 3 wide on the bottom, just trying to stay out of harm's way. Finds himself back in line in front of Petty, who is hoodless. Martin up to 18th on the restart. To the inside of Kenny Wallace in the 0-0. Makes a pass on him. Into turns 3 and 4. Martin on the inside. Oh, he clipped the apron, had to lift barely, kept the car from sliding around. And we've got cars coming into the pits all of a sudden. It looked like Bobby Labonte and Kyle Busch just hit pit road. Brandon Baltzell, thanks for tuning in. Well, bump draft to wall trip. And dangerous in the middle of the corner to bump draft. Allowed him to get around Boris Said, who was involved a couple cautions ago in a wreck. Leading culprit to that yellow. Andretti trying to hop down to the bottom. Big run, though, for Mark Martin in the 6. 3 wide pass, all clear of those cars he tried to pass into 3. Dale Jr. started last. Is just outside the top 10. Oop, Martin has to lift. He's still in the wall. There's trouble in front of him. A couple cars also got in the wall in front of the 6. So that's going to cause him to at least stay in this pack. Jimmy Spencer and Jeff Burton got together, and now Martin's in the top 10. 3 wide. Trying to get out of this mess. Up to 9th is Mark Martin in the 6. Martin blocking Labonte on the back straightaway. Jimmy Spencer's a lap down. Caution off turn 4, a big wreck. Big wreck. Maybe the big one. Carl Edwards is around another Roush car with troubles, and he hit Kenseth. Oh my gosh. Roush Fenway Racing is imploding in front of our eyes all of a sudden. Kenseth and Edwards involved in a caution off turn 4. I am speechless. Yeah, I guess it wasn't Labonte that pitted. He was on the track still. Martin's going to stay out because he pitted under the last caution. He's going to have a little less fuel than everybody else, but Mark Martin's going to lead for the first time today. 5 bonus points for the 6. Green flag back in the air in the Daytona 500. 74 to go, following caution number 9 in this race. 3 of them back to back to back within about a dozen laps. Good restart for the 6 of Martin. Martin is the only Roush Fenway Ford that has not had anything happen to him today. Hopefully it stays that way in these final 74 laps for him to try to win his first career Daytona 500. Jarrett maybe on the lead lap, down low. Martin will block him. I know Schrader's a lap down. Jarrett made slight contact with Kenny Schrader off turn 4. That's going to stall their momentum out. Yep, Dale Jarrett trying to win his 4th Daytona 500 as well. Top 5 run in the dual race earlier, and obviously 2nd in the Daytona 500 right now in the second half of the race. Martin not wanting to give this lead up. It's first he's had it all day. And now all 5 Roush Fenway Fords have led at least 1 lap. Jarrett down low, under Martin for the lead. Clear off turn 4. Dale Jarrett to the lead in the Daytona 500. Martin, though, in the tri-oval trying to get him back. Look at Jarrett crowding Martin all the way down to the yellow line. No double yellow line rule. Martin and Jarrett are side by side for the lead. And clear. Potentially off turn 2, maybe not clear. Martin trying to hold the bottom. Travis Kvapil and now up, and now he'll block Jarrett into turn 3. Roush Fenway Fords have been fast. That's one thing going for them. Still have 61 laps to go. All these cautions have kind of made this race a little long this afternoon. And McMurray on the lead lap, a young Jamie McMurray. Not the future Daytona 500 winner that we saw in 2010. That was some tight racing between Martin and Quaffle. Well, Travis Quaffle, if he is on the lead lap, what a run for another rookie for Penske in the 77. Kyle Busch, another rookie. We wrecked in the dual race with a massive run on the inside off turn 4, is looking for second and potentially the lead. I think his teammate Jeff Gordon is the car behind him. Martin's got no teammates up near the front anymore, with Edwards and Kenseth just wrecking. Biffle out. He's all on his own himself. Busch trying to block Gordon. Alpine in front of the 77. Martin driving out of the mirror. Three wide for third. One more pit stop to the end for the entire field. The window not going to open up until about 35 to 40 laps to go. These guys racing like it's the last laps of the race up at the front. Kyle Busch obviously hasn't led yet. Season long points for him and a shot at the Rookie of the Year, maybe a little more obtainable. Busch got in the wall a bit. Gordon checked up to keep it off the 5. They'll lose momentum. It's going to allow Martin to get out to about a 4 or 5 car length lead in the tri-oval, which means they're going to have a big run on the 6 car when they get to him. Might have a better shot of getting around him. Stewart on the outside gets by Gordon for third. 2005 champ, Tony Stewart. Comes Busch. Martin's driving pretty much all out of the rear view right now. Stewart. Maybe being a little patient in third. Dale Jarrett, by the way, got by Gordon for fourth again. Gotta say, this is the first we've seen Mark Martin in the lead. He's doing a great job. Old man Mark. Second to last season at Roush Fenway Racing. The original retirement tour, though, was this 05 season. So most of the way through the year, decided to come back at Roush for one more year, and then eventually running part-time, then with Hendrick Motorsports for a couple seasons in the 5-car full-time, and back to part-time at MWR to round his career out. He also ran some races at Stewart-Haas for Tony Stewart. I believe that was the year he had that sprint car injury, if I'm not mistaken. 2014. Waffle going back for third. Kyle Busch on the outside, losing ground. Gordon underneath. Jarrett now to the inside. Busch back to about sixth. Tony Stewart has not led yet today, trying to take his first lead in the Daytona 500. A couple of NASCAR Hall of Famers in the Hall of Fame, of course, now up at the front of the field, and even Gordon and Jarrett are also Hall of Famers all up there. The Hall of Fame 500. Really goes to show how talented a lot of the drivers were in this time era of NASCAR and who was still in it. Martin up against the wall. That was like the first mistake he made all day, but then he got squeezed as they were 3 wide. That wasn't really Travis Quaffle and Kyle Busch's fault. Old man Mark fell asleep behind the wheel. I don't even know what happened there. That was just a lack of attention, really. Caused that stack up. Lost 4 spots back to 5th and 2 seconds off the lead. Stewart to the lead for the first time this afternoon. I was just kind of leisurely out in front. And I just started going up the track randomly. I had clean air, so I don't know why that happened. I guess it was just lack of concentration. You gotta figure I've already ran over 200 laps considering I had the 60-lap dual race to practice before this. Probably ran like 220 laps already. Qualifying. The fatigue sets in. I think combined we're gonna end up running like 270 laps at Daytona today. Huge fight in the Saints and Buccaneers game. Tom Brady dishing some blows. That would not happen. Not with Brady, I would think. A lot more cars in this pack, though. They are slowly catching up to the 2 rookies of Travis Quaffle and Kyle Busch. And Tony Stewart and Dale Jarrett are at the front of the field. I think Biffle's going to end up leading the most laps with get 10 bonus points today, so that'll be good for him. Yeah, Sadler in the 6th spot. Carl Edwards in 7th. We're bringing out that last caution. It's closing in. Edwards in line right behind Mark Martin all of a sudden. Quaffle and Busch side by side for 3rd with 51 laps to go. Martin doesn't want to let these guys in front of him with the whole pack behind him. He's just really hoping he can lead this pack at least to the next 2 cars. And then share draft behind Travis Quaffle or Kyle Busch. Definitely getting closer to them. He's definitely a lot closer to Kyle Busch now. He's just out of range to try to reel him in. Close but no cigar. Busch all the way up near the wall. That might help. Edwards giving Martin a good little push off turn 2. Martin is so close to being in that strong draft behind Kyle Busch. And I think he's in it now, and Martin's got to run. Well, the good news is with Biffle out, and that's the driver racing as full-time, having the engine failure, I guess we could go for broke. Everybody else. With Martin, if he wrecks and we go 3 other shots to win it yet. They're all in the lead lap. Martin up to 4th as he passes Kyle Busch. Splitting the 2 rookies. Travis Quaffle in 3rd is now going to be the car in front of Martin, in which Martin will draft with. 2 seconds off the lead. First time Tony Stewart's been at the front. It'll be interesting to see how hard he'll be to pass. 48 laps to go in the Daytona 500 this time by. I would assume Jarrett has a faster car than Quaffle even. Mark Martin bump drafting Travis Quaffle back straightaway, very aggressively bump drafting him. Trying to get some more speed. We're running the outside lane in turns 3 and 4. Could tell Mark Martin wants to win this race. That was a good indication of it. Been so close a few times. Was never able to get it done. Martin lurking inside Travis Quaffle. Did anybody know what attempt it was for Martin to win the 500 in 05? How many attempts did he have before this? Out of curiosity. Edwards still trying to get around Kyle Busch. There are 3 rookies in the top 6 right now, and Truex was at 4th earlier when he blew an engine. Great showing by the rookies in the Daytona 500, racing like some veterans today. Martin looked a little bit low on Quaffle in the corner. Quaffle still running that outside. Edwards, by the way, was able to get around Kyle Busch a little bit ago. At least over 20. Yeah, he was a rookie in what, like 82 or something like that? 84? Early 80s. Getting close enough to Dale Jarrett. Martin's going to hop out of line. Make the pass for 3rd on Quaffle and then draft with Jarrett. Oh, bump draft just shot Quaffle into the wall. So much for that. Wasn't trying to bump draft him. Especially in the middle of the corner. He just kind of... Martin had a big run. Quaffle was going up the track. Martin was trying to stay in the gas and stay behind him. And Martin's going to go to the outside now. He's going to let Carl Edwards get down. We know Edwards has a fast car, as do the Roush Fenway Fords. Hopefully Edwards hasn't wrecked too much out of the race car from that last accident. I don't think he has. Harvick down low, trying to get to the inside of Martin. He's side drafting him in the tri-oval. Martin holding on to 4th. So at least Edwards has made his way back up through the field again, and Edwards could follow the 99. And Quaffle will lose a spot to Harvick as well. '81 rookie, but ran full-time in '82, so yeah, I'll have to look. I'll pause it sometime soon. I'll pause it right now before we get too far along. Mark Martin Daytona stats. Oh, let's see. Jeez Louise. Mark Martin has made over 100 starts at Daytona in the Cup Series. That is ridiculous. How many career starts does Mark Martin have total? He has over 100 starts in the day. Well, not in the Daytona 500, obviously, because there hasn't been that many. But at Daytona, they race there twice. Oh, that's counting the dual races. Never mind. That's counting the dual races and the Clash. I was gonna say. That was throwing me off for a second. So I'm just going to have to count one of the February races in. So 2013 was his last one. His first Daytona 500 was 1982. Finished 30th. DNF, broken valve. So 1982 was his first 500. So, yeah, it's over 20 years. 205. Let's see. Martin finished 6th in the actual 2005 Daytona 500. So this is the 24th attempt then for Martin. Yeah, I didn't realize it was counting the duels and the Clash at first. With over 100 Daytona starts, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So this is the 24th attempt at the Daytona 500 for Mark Martin in this 2005 season. Can he get it done? He feels he's close enough behind Dale Jarrett. He's going to make the move for third on Carl Edwards. He'll complete the pass into turn 1. Jarrett on the outside as Martin is 2.3 seconds off the lead. Following the 88 of Jarrett, who blocks him to the bottom off turn 2, but that's okay. Martin will draft behind him. So not going with his teammate Carl Edwards, but going with another Ford at Robert Yates Racing of Dale Jarrett. Oh, no, 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 no. Martin got loose. He clipped the apron. He saved it. He's going to lose some spots. That is a terrible mistake for Mark Martin. He's going to lose some time. A little too aggressive. Usually just spins you right out. I'm surprised he was able to make the save. He's going to wear those tires out quite a bit, though, too. Oh, and he got tagged that time. That was not his fault. Contact from the 77 of Travis Quaffle. Another save by Martin, but that was Quaffle just getting into him that time. I wonder if he might have been mad after they had contact earlier and maybe he was a rival. Sure what the deal was that time. From Travis Quaffle to Mark Martin, and Martin's now 6.5 seconds off the lead. Contact between Kurt Busch and Elliott Sadler off turn 4. It's going to allow Gordon to get by. 2 saves in about a lap for Martin. Still in the top 10 and 6th. 1 pit stop away from the finish, 40 laps to go in the Daytona 500. I might have to go fuel only. Because if it stays green to the end, I don't think he's going to have the pace to gain 6.8 seconds and not make a mistake like he did touching the yellow line a little bit ago. Jeff Gordon tags him now. Caution, Gordon's around off turn 4, right at the edge of the pit window. Caution's out. And the Daytona 500, the second time Gordon has been involved in a wreck off turn 4. Elliott Sadler also involved. Oh boy. Well, this has been wild. Martin going to stay out, as does the rest of the field. Okay, I was going to say. His tires are definitely wearing out a bit more than everybody else's. Green flag back in the air. Everybody at the edge of the pit window right now, but they felt like they were too far out to make it to the end. Remember, Kurt Busch restarted with 34 to go and was about a lap short earlier in the duel race. A couple bump drafts on the restart for Martin to quickly try to get ahead on this restart. Look at Mark Martin go. 3 wide on the bottom. Slides up in front of Kyle Busch. Side by side with Harvick for 4th. Still squeezing the 29 car. That was our 10th caution of the race in the Daytona 500. 36 laps left. Martin gains 3 spots on the restart. Actually 2. He goes from 6th to 4th. Oh, trouble. The 141 making contact with Harvick. Cars pitting down to the inside. No wreck. We stay green with 35 laps to go in the Great American Race. Pit window might be open now. 35 laps to go. Martin all by his lonesome self, though. He's going to have to pit for fuel very soon. He's maybe going to be able to stay out one more lap and then pit the following time by. It's 1.8 to 1.9 seconds off the lead. Reverse side drafted. Jeff Gordon Ramsay. I think Gordon just wanted to wreck off turn 4 again like he did earlier, and he did just that. 34 to go. Mark Martin staying out one more lap. He'll pit the following time by. Cars coming out of the pits on the bottom of the racetrack. All going a lap down at the hands of Tony Stewart. Or another lap down if they were already 1 lap down, because there have been some lap cars in the race today with the caution that came out in the middle of green flag pit stops during the first set of stops today. 3 wide, just up in front, off turn 4. Martin will pit this time. And it'll be a 4-tire stop for the 6th, because he did burn his tires up quite a bit in the run, so he's all right with locking them up. He does not speed. Topping off on fuel, 4-tire stop for Mark Martin. It's going to have to be a quick one. Can he cycle to the front? In the Daytona 500, he was about 2 seconds off the lead at the time of him pitting in the 5th place position. It's not going to be a fuel mileage finish. Everybody should be good to the end, I would think. It might get a little close, but I do think everybody's going to be good on fuel pitting when they did after the restart. Martin's just going to pull up onto the racetrack. Nobody around him. Edwards, Stewart battling for the lead. Stewart might have just pit that time. Could be a reason why Edwards is back out at front. Martin in 21st. We'll see if we stay green to the end. If we do, it'll be a 36-lap green flag run to the finish, which will be the 2nd longest green flag run of the afternoon. In the Daytona 500. A fast pit stop, by the way, for the 6th crew of Mark Martin. Martin trying to win his first career Daytona 500. He's going to have his work cut out for him to try and get it done, but it is never over until it's over. Trying to cycle out as the leader through green flag stops. Never know, he may do just that. Back in the top 20 with cars exiting pit road around him. Martin going to have to cycle ahead of these next few drivers that are still on the bottom of the track in 1 and 2. He should be able to get around these guys. Tony Stewart in the 20. Martin drafting off him, now pulls high. Stewart was the leader when green flag pit stop started. Martin may have made a super fast 4-tire stop. Dale Jarrett to the lead also. I think Carl Edwards pitted that last time by. Jarrett leading for the 2nd time this afternoon. Can't win the 500 with Biffle. We're going to be 0 for 13 with that being said, but we can still win as Mark Martin and try to get him his first career Daytona 500 victory. Back in the top 15. He'll be in the top 10 here. A couple of seconds. Here's Kenseth. Two more cars. Turn 2. Martin trying to draft behind Ryan Newman. Remember, Newman was a lap down earlier in the day, and I think he's still a lap down because Edwards was the spot for 10th. Stewart going to cycle ahead of the 99 as well. Martin and Edwards may be able to work together to win the race if they can get linked up. Some of the leaders pitting, but not the race leader, Dale Jarrett. 30 to go. The Daytona 500, the NASCAR 6 custom schedule season. The second race of the Cup schedule will be the Daytona Road Course. Try to get redemption with Biffle there. We're going to be last in points. Well, we might not be last because we didn't lead laps. We probably led the most. A lot of different drivers leading in the second half of the race. Martin trying to stay in front of Stewart. Dale Jarrett is pitting this time, it appears. Will we stay green to the finish? And can Mark Martin cycle into the lead? 4-car draft. One of them's a lap down and being Ryan Newman. Stewart and Edwards on the lead lap. Martin blocking Stewart on the outside. Here comes Edwards down low on the back straightaway. So the battle for 7th, Jeff Gordon. Everybody else that has not pitted yet is on pit road now. So the moment of truth will be on the back straightaway next time by to see who will be the leader. We'll have 28 laps to go after green flag pit stops in the Daytona 500. Martin back in the top 5. Up to 3rd. Dale Jarrett up ahead. It'll be Jarrett and Gordon. On the inside of the track in turns 1 and 2. Gordon in 2nd. Martin will get by him. Martin has to block Tony Stewart. He's going to break the draft. Try to draft off the 88 of Dale Jarrett on the back straightaway. He's going to get to the lead. Mark Martin leads the Daytona 500 with 28 laps to go. 27 this time by. Lap car Newman just got in the wall trying to get around Jarrett on the outside. And it is a battle for the win from here on out, ladies and gentlemen. What a pit stop by the 6th team. He was in, what, 6th or 7th, 2 seconds off, or sorry, 5th place, 2 seconds off the lead when he pitted. But by pitting a little earlier than all the cars he cycled in front of, the fresher tires on this Daytona bumpy surface is what allowed him to get to the lead, if I did have to guess. Made up 2 seconds on pit road. Didn't really lock the tires up too much going into the pits, but he did push it a bit harder than times earlier, knowing it wasn't going to be a 2-tire stop. He wanted to have the grip to the end. So that way, if he was in this position to defend, he wouldn't get aero loose. He still might later in the run, but for right now, he's all right. Oh, jeez. That was a dangerous situation there. Still holds on to the lead. He's just being aggressive, trying to block. That's all. 26 to go. Hopefully it doesn't bite him. How about the rookie, Edwards, trying to win the 500 in his rookie season? And the 2 Roush Fenway teammates are 1-2 at the front of the field. Edwards qualified on the pole. Finished top 5 in the duel. He's had a great speed weeks as well. Martin top 10 in his duel race. Popcorn-worthy finish, yes it is. Wish it was Biffle we were racing as, but it's alright. Well, it's not alright, but this is the consolation prize. Jarrett is drafting behind the lapper of Ryan Newman right now, trying to get up in contention. These guys in the top 3 don't stay single file and keep battling like they are right now. It's going to allow the rest of the pack to catch up and form back together as we still have 25 laps to go. And again, will we stay green to the end of the race? Have we seen the last caution? We've had 10 of them today. 6 in the first probably 62 laps, and we've had 4 cautions in the last 90. Well, from 90 to now. And only 2 yellows for debris. Stewart, though, in second. Even on fresher tires, all these cars moving around a lot. It's hard to hold a line, whether in clean air or in the draft. I wonder if Martin can catch Biffle for the most laps led if he leads out to the finish. I don't think he can, but I don't want to not lead for that reason. You lose the lead, you may not get it back. Stewart's so close, that left rear corner panel. Mark Martin almost bump drafted him right in the middle of the corner. Edwards, though, with a run on the high side on the back straightaway. Not going to get the help from Jarrett, who got around Newman on the back stretch. Jarrett trying to go for third. Tony Stewart goes wide. Got tight in the dirty air behind Martin off turn 4. Going to Charlotte next year. Yeah, I saw you got tickets for the 600. That's pretty cool. I want to try to go to the 600 next year. I was there a couple years ago. 2020. Or, sorry, 2021. Nobody was there in 2020. Fans-wise. It's cool. Definitely feel the prestige more when you're at the track for a race like that than on TV. Especially on Fox Sports, it doesn't really do it justice. Get more of the feel that it is a crown jewel event. Oh, man, Jarrett might have scuffed the wall. Edwards didn't give him a lot of room trying to block him. Edwards made a clean block, but Jarrett lost some momentum. Nudging the wall a little bit. Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman checked up behind. What Martin wants to see, though, is his teammate Carl Edwards behind him. Obviously, everybody wants to win the Daytona 500, so Edwards is going to fight for this, but he's probably going to race Martin cleanly, if you had to imagine. Edwards involved in an accident with his other teammate, Matt Kenseth, earlier. They were battling for about third at the time. Edwards, though, while trying to keep up and also stay with Martin, trying to block Dale Jarrett at the same time. That 88 car looking speedy, trying to win his 4th Daytona 500. Tony Stewart also trying to win his first. Jarrett goes a bit wide. Martin went a bit wide into the marbles, and here comes Edwards at the bottom of the track. Oh, mistake by Martin off turn 2. He just went too far wide and couldn't hold the outside through the corner. But Martin's going to get his momentum back on the back straightaway very quickly. And slingshots back by the 99 of Carl Edwards with a slide job into 3 and 4. Edwards has already led today. I think everybody in the top 4 has already led. Oh, contact between Stewart and Edwards. I think they were 3 wide with the lap car. Newman just trying to get back on the lead lap in case we get a late yellow. He is in the free pass position, but trying to get his lap back as well. He could be a factor in potentially who wins as far as the drafting portion the pack racing goes. Tickets for Dega this year and next year. Well, hey, if you see me at Dega this year, say hi. I'll be there in a couple weeks. $19 to go this time by Mark Martin in his 24th attempt trying to win the Daytona 500. Stewart with a run on the outside. Martin going high to block. Jarrett down low also underneath Stewart. Martin's led for about 10 laps now after cycling to the lead following green flag pit stops. Elliott Sadler, another Robert Yates Racing Ford, starting to scratch and claw his way forward. He's trying to get around Edwards for 4th. Jarrett up to second, clearing Stewart, and maybe the 38 and 88 can work together to win the race. A lot of Fords at the front of the field. The Fords have had the speed at Daytona during speed weeks today. Three wide for third. Lapper of Newman on the outside, Edwards in the middle. Sadler down low. 18 laps to go, though, at the front. Stewart back into P2 again. Stewart looking for the run. Can't get it. I just realized we still have to alternate through the different camera angles for 6 more laps in the race. We didn't get to do it as Biffle because he DNF'd. Blew an engine. It's alright. I ran fine with it earlier. Still have a rearview mirror unlike NASCAR 21 ignition, so the blocking game is still going to be there. Mark Martin trying to win the Daytona 500. Stewart backing up to maybe try to get a run on the 6. Side by side for, it's like 4th again between Edwards and Sadler. Tony Stewart did get to the outside of Mark Martin that time, but Dale Jarrett goes down low with the 6 rather than up high with the 20 of Stewart. Can Tony Stewart get to the lead? He didn't have enough help. That's going to allow Martin to hold on in turns 3 and 4 again. .16 to go. Jarrett back into P2. He clears Tony Stewart off turn 4 with the pass. Martin's been mirror driving for about 28 laps since taking the lead. Lost the lead briefly on the backstretch to Edwards, but then he passed him before Edwards could actually get the official lead change at the line. More cars on the outside, though, helped Dale Jarrett get a run off turn 2. Martin still trying to block Stewart and Harvick, who are in the bottom and middle lanes further back. Harvick went back up high to try to stay behind the 88 of Dale Jarrett. Jarrett again holding on the outside. And at the start-finish line, at the line that time, I believe Dale Jarrett led that lap by inches over Mark Martin. .15 to go. Martin's so good in the middle of the corner. Oh, he got loose. He got aero loose that time from Tony Stewart. Car wiggled around quite a bit. Stewart to the bottom of the track. Just barely. Tony Stewart gets into the lead. Martin sideways. Slamming back down. Tony Stewart's out in front of the Daytona 500. And he's pulling away. Martin was way down low trying to make the save. .14 laps left. They're 3.5 seconds behind Stewart, battling for second now. And Dale Jarrett is up to P2. Tony Stewart trying to win his first Daytona 500. Martin just pinched Harvick into the wall. He was just trying to get to the outside because he was losing spots. Waltrip up to 6th. Another Roush Fenway Ford up towards the front. Kurt Busch is in 4th. Things are getting wild late. Oh my goodness. Martin's car's done now. He got into the wall. Now he's just super tight as he stayed in the wall off turn 4. Michael Waltrip, I saw, got in the wall simultaneously with Martin. Tires are going away quickly. The leader's again 4 seconds behind Stewart. They're all in one giant pack, though. Tony Stewart all by himself. And you never know if we get another late race yellow. Had him pretty frequently in today's race. Martin's just so tight. Just got to the inside of Kurt Busch. Door to door is the 6 and the 97. All trying to get the best position they can late in case there's a late yellow. Martin's a fourth. Should have Kurt Busch cleared into turn 1. And does. How about the Robert Yates Fords trying to work together late? Elliott Sadler, Dale Jarrett. With Tony Stewart in the lead. Look at the skid marks all over the track from Martin, and I think it was Edwards who also made contact. Edwards nowhere to be found. He had the worst of it. I think it was, it might not have been Edwards. It might have been Gordon, because I don't see Gordon anywhere either. 11 to go for the far chase cam for the rest of the race now. 3.7 seconds off the lead. They're not going to make that time up on Stewart. Tony Stewart's race to lose. Mark Martin underneath Elliott Sadler. Dale Jarrett. Martin back to second. Now just really hoping for a caution. $10 to go in the Daytona 500. As it's Tony Stewart, 3.7 seconds ahead of the pack. Stewart could blow an engine. That would be insane. Only adding to the insanity. Martin's just tight. He's in the wall in clean air again. And as he comes back down the track, he's going to lose 2 more spots. Martin's car's just junk right now. Even in clean air, he can't get it to turn. Harvick and Sadler side by side for second. Tony Stewart doesn't want to see a caution, though. That's the only thing. Johnson might have gotten into the wall off 4. Martin was close. 9 long laps left in the Daytona 500. The battle now is just mainly for second in case something happens miraculously to Stewart or a caution comes out. They can be right behind the 20 on the restart. Big run for Martin. Nowhere to go, though. With Sadler and Harvick both down on the inside. Another big run in the tri-oval. 46.93 won that last lap. Mark Martin gets by Elliott Sadler for third. 8 laps to go in the Daytona 500, 4.1 seconds off the lead. Stewart's not going to be as fast by himself. These guys could actually stay connected together. There's no way that, I mean, they're going to have to literally gain a half a second a lap. The 29 and the 6 would, in order to catch Tony Stewart. I just don't think that's going to happen. Caution comes out, 5 or less laps to go. Could end the race at this point, too. Fastest lap, Martin just ran that last time, 46.669. Bump drafted Harvick in the middle of the corner. Dangerous, he just doesn't want to lift anymore. Harvick and Martin breaking away from the rest of the pack behind him. Stewart still managing a decent-sized gap over second and third. It's less than 4 seconds ahead with 6 laps to go in the Daytona 500. Martin pulling out of line into turn 1, trying to get by Harvick. Harvick squeezed him. Martin lifted to keep it off Harvick. Cut the momentum down to the 6. Obviously no help behind Martin. Battle for seconds on right now. There's no incentive of just staying behind the 29, because if we do get a caution with a green, white, checker restart with 2 to go, he's going to be a third rather than second. All the lap cars would be behind the lead lap cars too if we did get another yellow. 5 laps left in the Daytona 500 for Tony Stewart to try and get his first. Martin on the inside of Harvick. There's contact into the corner. Well, that's one way to get the spot. Martin moving Harvick up out of the way for P2. Martin in the wall again. He is absolutely struggling. 4 laps to go. Pack has been racy for a while. Martin getting arrow loose with the 29 of Harvick behind him, but Martin holds on to the race car. Man, this thing is just moving around all over the place. He's tight with the damage on the right side after getting into the wall a couple times. He's hasn't wrecked yet today. Got really loose that time. Harvick down low. Busch down low. Another Busch down low. 3 laps left in the Daytona 500. Martin just trying to hold on. Busch brothers side by side for 4th. Rookie Kyle Busch getting by defending champion Kurt Busch. It appears on the back straightaway. Massive run coming though for Mark Martin in the 6. Takes the run to the inside. Right behind the 5 of Kyle Busch. Off the exit of the corner. Little bump trap for Martin to the back of the 97. 2 laps to go in the Daytona 500. Another bump draft on the 97. That's going to get the 6 all over the place. Johnson gets by for 5th. Right side tires especially wearing out on Mark Martin's race car. He's just got to hold on now. Final lap. This time by. Tony Stewart just wants to see the white flag. Put himself in the right position late. Ran a solid race. Oh, Kenseth. Caution! Oh, wait, hang on. The caution came out. Caution came out right before Stewart got the white flag. Is that going to end the race? I mean, Tony Stewart was so close to getting the white flag because there's no cautions on the final lap. Kenseth got into Mark Martin. Around goes Kenseth. Right in front of Jarrett. Caution gonna end the race, or are we gonna get another restart? That's gonna stink if Tony Stewart hasn't won. Is the race over? Yes, it is. Race ends under the yellow. Race ends under the yellow. Tony Stewart is going to win the Daytona 500. I was going to say, it came out right before the white flag. I mean, it was almost simultaneous that Stewart got the white flag when the caution waved. because otherwise there was no cautions on the final lap. Ryan Blaney All-Star treat. Yeah. Stewart's window nets down. They did not go green, though. That's it. NASCAR was quick to put it out. We'll say that much. It ultimately didn't matter, though. The race is over. I kind of figured we were less than 5 to go, but Tony Stewart is going to win the Daytona 500 under caution today. 11 cautions for 31 caution laps. 28 lead changes total in today's race. 0.2 of a second margin. Well, really, margin of victory is just over caution. 3 hours, 44 minutes total time on today's Daytona 500. Average speed of 133.78 miles an hour. And Tony Stewart, leading 37 laps, is going to get the win in the Great American Race. Kevin Harvick will end up in second. Busch brothers, Kurt Busch will end up finishing third. Kyle Busch fourth. Kurt led 2 laps. Jimmy Johnson rounds out the top 5. Mark Martin with a solid day, led 24 laps, finishes 6th. Matt Kenseth led 5 laps, 7th. Dale Jarrett in 8th. Bobby Labonte 9th. Elliott Sadler rounds out the top 10. Great day, though, for Josh Fenway, even though none of them won. Carl Edwards 14th after qualifying to the pole, led 7 laps. Good run for the rookie in his first Daytona 500. And Greg Biffle blew an engine at lap 111. Remember, that's who we were driving as. Biffle had the fastest car in the race today and never got to put on display what he could have done to try to win this race. "60 laps led for Biffle in the first 111 before blowing an engine. He was leading when he blew that engine. 10 bonus points for him. Scott Wimmer, we saw, blew an engine earlier. We saw Truex blow an engine in 4th at the time. Dale Jr. blew an engine in the Duel and the 500. So DEI not having great engines throughout speed weeks, and tough speed weeks, though, for Dale Jr. And yeah, 4 drivers DNF today despite 11 cautions. We didn't have more. Jimmy Johnson flipped. That last wreck probably was the big one, coming to the white flag. We had it at some point. It took a lot longer than what I thought it was going to, but we did have the big one. 64 votes on the poll in the chat of who I will drive as between Kyle Busch and Casey Kane. And Kyle Busch has won that vote 55% to 45%. So I will be driving as Kyle Busch in the Busch Series on NASCAR 06 Total Team Control. Well, there you have it. We'll be streaming on the channel tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Start Time. We'll be running the Busch Series at Daytona. And again, I'll be running as Kyle Busch. And I'll start the poll in the Truck Series for you guys to vote who you want me to race as in the Truck Series. And we'll finish that poll up during our Busch Series Daytona race tomorrow night. Thanks everybody for watching. Again, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll try to win the Busch Series race. 0 for 13 at Daytona in the Cup Series. Unbelievable. I'm not going to count the Daytona Road Course if I do win that race. But on the Daytona Oval, 0 for 13 right now in the EA Sports games. It's gonna be great when we finally win, if we finally win. But yeah, 42nd today, unfortunately. Probably my worst finish of the 500s up to this point. See you guys tomorrow night, everybody. Thanks for watching.